Mr. Ross, the pledge.
Father, we thank you for the blessings of a society where we can openly discuss public policy and where people are free to disagree with each other without resort to violence of any kind. And we pray that everyone this evening keep their tempers in check and just that we have a good discussion and that we thrash out the public's business in an orderly-like fashion. In your name we pray, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United
States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So I'd like to welcome everybody here tonight. I'm going to read some of the ground rules for public comment. So the budget public hearing is for the purpose of allowing members of the public to comment on any matter pertaining to the FY17 budget, 16 tax rates, and the draft FY17 through 21 capital improvement plan. Prior to speaking, please sign up at the reception table located inside the main entrance with your name, address, and voting district. Listen for the announcement of your name and be ready to approach the microphone as the speaker before you is finishing. The time limit for speakers is 3 minutes. For a speaker representing a group, the time limit is 5 minutes, provided other members of the group will not be speaking. However, the representative speaking may not ask all group members who are in support to stand. May ask. Remarks should be addressed directly to the Board of Supervisors. Observe the time. Green is to begin, yellow is to sum up, red is to conclude. In fairness to others who wish to speak, please adhere to the time limit. The microphone will be shut off when the time is expired. Please be respectful. Mr. Taylor, I think you had...
Yes, Mr. Chairman, would also like to announce in connection with tonight's meeting, as with other board meetings, this meeting is being broadcast live on county cable channels 23, 24, and 35. It is also live streaming on www.regionalwebtv.com, where it will also be archived. And we have two speakers lists this evening. One is for county taxpayers who will speak first in the order that they've signed up, and the second list is for non-taxpayers.
With that, I'd like to open the public hearing. Amy?
The first speaker signed up is Rebecca Murray, followed by Lauren Saravia.
You're good.
My name is Rebecca Murray, and I live in the Battlefield District. In light of full disclosure, I'm an educator in Spotsylvania, a member of the SCA, and a member of the Cedar Forest Elementary School PTO. However, I am speaking as a private citizen representing no particular group tonight. I have lived in Spotsylvania since 1981 and the greater Fredericksburg area most of my life. I live here, shop here, pay taxes here, and reared my children here. I have a vested interest in and a deep love for our community. But tonight I come to you extremely troubled at the direction I see our county heading and the decline in our quality of life that has resulted. As our elected officials, you are charged with serving all of our citizens. You are required to remain nonpartisan, but that has not happened. As a board, you have pandered to a small but vocal minority who seem to hold you hostage to a no-tax increase for any reason philosophy, regardless the short and long-term ramifications of your actions. Your constituents include more than those vocal few who, in effect, want something for nothing. Your constituents include those represented by the school board, local law enforcement, local emergency service providers. You have shirked your responsibility for years by attempting to pit those groups against one another, which serves no one and maintains a decline in our quality of life. You owe it to all of our citizens to make your decisions based on the common good. When the school board comes to you with a proposed budget, it is your responsibility to listen seriously and consider their request and rationale. Making statements that those on the school board are playing games and making your members out to be bad guys is unacceptable and serves no purpose for the greater good. While I support residential and commercial growth, the result is that growth requires increased need for services. You have ignored this reality. While you have approved the construction of many new homes, you have not allowed for real-life solutions as to how the residents of these homes, as well as our current residents, will be served by local public schools, law enforcement, fire and rescue, as they bend from your underfunded approval of growth. In short, you have let us down. Yours is a difficult task as you consider the tax rate. You have hard choices to make. However, the time has come for you to set aside partisan politics and political pandering. It is time to look forward to the horizon and move forward rather than backward. I am asking that you vote to leave the tax increase as advertised and not lower it further. You owe it to every public servant, private citizen in this county. But mostly you owe it to our children, because they are the ones who suffer the most, and they are the ones who will be left to clean up this mess for decades. Thank you.
Lauren Saravia. Followed by Melanie Flores Chua.
Right. My name is Lauren Saravia, and my address is 5818 Jackson Road, Fredericksburg, Virginia, and I live in the Cortland District. I'm proud to be an ESOL teacher at Battlefield Elementary School. I teach students who are identified as English language learners. At Battlefield, we love our diverse group of English language learners who speak Spanish, Arabic, Japanese, Igbo, and German. Most of my students are the children of immigrants to the United States, or they themselves are immigrants to our country. A great deal of these children and their families have overcome incredible obstacles to be here. Their parents are so proud and happy to be here in Spotsylvania County in schools where they can get a world-class education. Their parents beam with pride in conferences when we show them how their reading level has improved, or when their child receives a certificate of recognition for their good citizenship. Our English language learner families are so involved and interwoven in our community at Battlefield because these families know the value of our school, and we make them feel valued in return. These parents want their children to achieve the American dream, and they know that the ticket to this dream are the schools in Spotsylvania County. And yet, in our sincere effort to help these children achieve their dream, my colleagues and I are faced with many challenges. One challenge is simply logistics. I have 79 students on my caseload, along with a part-time ESOL teacher I work with. She and I are stretched thin to give our students in kindergarten through 5th grade the kind of support they need to reach the rigorous standards that they are held to. I wish, above all, that I could give my students the gift of more time with them each day, to provide them with more in-depth support. Another challenge is that many of our parents do not speak enough English to adequately support their children's learning. Yet another challenge is that these children must acquire English at the same time that they acquire academic skills. Research shows that it takes between 7 to 10 years for a student to learn English at native proficiency, and yet we task our young students with taking standardized tests alongside their peers. My colleagues and I are doing everything in our power to help these wonderful children meet the rigorous standards. But to meet these demands, we do need adequate funding. Please support the superintendent's proposed budget. It's a wise investment in our shared future in Spotsylvania County. Thank you for your time.
Melanie Flores Chua. Followed by Michael Smith.
Hello, my name is Melanie Flores Chua. I'm in 4th grade at Battlefield Elementary School. My address is 5804 Queens Mill Circle, Fredericksburg 22407. Thank you for listening to my speech. I moved here from Guatemala just before I started kindergarten. I really didn't know any English. Sometimes I cried because I didn't fit in. The teachers at Battlefield helped me a lot, so I could feel better about my English. My teachers helped me improve my reading, writing, math, science, and social studies. By 1st grade, my English was great. Now I'm in 4th grade. I passed all my SOL tests last year. I love to read, especially chapter books. I do not need help with my English anymore. In fact, I won the spelling bee at my school this year. When I'm older, I want to go to college and become a professional artist. My mom didn't have the opportunity to finish college, but she wants me to finish college. So now you see how important school is. I hope you will support the schools and give them more money so kids that just got to the United States have more education. Thank you for hearing my important speech.
Michael Smith, followed by Michelle Hedrick.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and Board of Supervisors. My name is Mike Smith. I live in Chancery Court, Spotsylvania, Virginia, and the Livingston District. I've moved here in 2007 with my family, and I was just here a few short years ago during convocation for my son's graduation in 2013, and my daughters prior to that graduated in 2012, and they were prepared real well, and they had a great education here in Spotsylvania County with great teachers, and they are doing well in college and hope to graduate. At least I hope they graduate next year. All right, so they're doing well. For the past 2 months, I have read, reviewed, and analyzed both the FY17 schools and county budgets. I've also attended Board of Supervisors meetings and communicated with other groups and individuals involved in budget discussions and recommendations. The county administrator's recommended budget is estimated at $488 million, with $300 million proposed for the schools. These amounts contain everything to include pay raises, benefit increases, public safety needs, and capital improvements totaling $48 million. All the money to fund the budget is our money. Whether the money comes from federal taxes, state taxes, property taxes, meal taxes, personal property taxes, etc., the entire budget is funded by we the people. And we the people need to be aware of what that money is being used for and who we trust our money with. The school's presentation, dated 19 January 2016, is titled, Focusing on the Future. If that is what we should be doing, then why do we keep bringing up the past? Past cuts, past reductions, past decisions. We can't do a whole lot about the past, but we can make better decisions today and improve our future. We need to put our past behind us. Did you know that when this budget is approved, both county and school employees will get a raise? Public safety will be fully funded. Many more needs and wants will be filled over last year, and all this is possible with a tax rate of 83 cents. You can take my word for it, or you can take the word of the county administrator and his staff. Last Thursday, the Board of Supervisors was told to expect an additional $4.1 million in FY17 revenue, and that the recommended rate is now 83 cents. Did you know we had a budget surplus of $10 million in FY15, which ended less than a year ago? If you applied this surplus to the reduction of property taxes, the rate would be closer to 79 cents, twice the tax rate of 86 cents, which was used during FY15. Fiscal conservatives have every right and obligation to demand a lower rate than 83, but we also understand and listen to what others have to say. In conclusion, here are the top 5 reasons to support and vote for the 83-cent tax rate. It raises $2.8 million more than last year and is not a tax cut. It supports the 1/3 of families whose school children receive free or reduced school lunches. It saves money our senior citizens and others on fixed incomes need.
Sorry, sir, but your time has expired.
Thank you. And the number one reason is we are taxed enough already. Thank you.
Michelle Hedrick, followed by Jean Hope.
Good evening, honorable members of the board, county administrator, and staff. My name is Michelle Hedrick, and I'm a resident of Spotsylvania County, Lees Hill District, and I'm the executive director of Rappahannock Big Brothers Big Sisters. I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak and for your past support. The Rappahannock Big Brothers Big Sisters Board of Directors, our staff, our volunteer mentors, ask that the board approve our proposed funding request of $5,500. We can appreciate that the DSS Advisory Board decided to recommend the use of your limited resources to meet the needs of your priority target population of at-risk children in Spotsylvania County. By partnering with our organization and utilizing our proven model of one-to-one mentoring, you are able to create community change without adding additional services within county departments. We welcome the opportunity to help you. The cost to serve Spotsylvania County children is $62,000. Therefore, the $5,500 in funding is a sound investment for you to consider. The funding for our youth mentoring program is used to screen adult volunteer mentors, recruit them, interview them, train them, and provide ongoing support to them, as well as the guardians and the children involved in our program. Many children in our county live with a single parent or guardian who is challenged by time, finances, or circumstances. to provide the necessary support and engagement in educational, athletic, and civic activities. With your support, Big Brothers Big Sisters matches these children with an adult volunteer who spends time with them each week and helps them navigate the challenges and adversity in their lives. Our mentors reinforce positive behaviors, attitudes, and values. National research has determined that spending time with a big brother or big sister mentor leads children to improve school attendance, improve grades, improve behavior, and make better choices. Our studies show that when mentoring begins with at-risk children who are ages 6 to 13, we have the highest success rate. We are partners with county schools, teachers, parents, and volunteers to provide mentoring that helps children be successful. The investment the county makes in its at-risk children results in more students who succeed in school and then become contributing citizens. In particular, last year, we began an after-school program at Harrison Road Elementary School at the request of school staff. The guidance counselor appreciates the support of Big Brothers Big Sisters in bringing mentors to school for students who need additional support to meet the learning standards and have positive behaviors. This results in better schools for all other students and the teachers. We are a prevention program that saves the county and its residents money in the long term. And since I have a large audience, I just want to say we have boys particularly on our waiting list, and we are welcoming mentors, so thank you.
Jean Hope, followed by Rex Sappenfield.
Good evening. My name is Jean Hope, and I live in the Livingston District. I don't want my taxes raised. Quite some time ago, I worked for the Spotsylvania school system. My first day on the job wasn't at the school, it was in the hospital, as my husband had 5-way bypass surgery. 2 years later, he was diagnosed with terminal cancer, and in just 4 months, he was gone. It was a radical life change. I worked several more years in my school until it was absolutely clear I wasn't going to be able to make it on my own salary. I hold a master's degree, and surely I thought I would be able to get a job, a good-paying job here in Spotsylvania County. No. I finally got a job in Washington. Great job, horrible commute, devastating cost to my health. Now I live on a fixed income. Guess what? No matter how much you save, no matter how well prepared you think you are, it's not enough. So another major life change. That's why I'm here tonight. The economy is not growing, yet year after year, taxes and everything else goes up. Some things are insanely high, such as the cost of health insurance. I don't receive a generous taxpayer-funded benefits package, such as the teachers do, yet they want me to pay for theirs when I can't afford to pay for mine. I feel like taxpayers are kind of a personal piggy bank for some of the supervisors. And whenever they want something or the school board wants something, the plug of the piggy bank gets yanked and the taxpayers are forced to ante up. It doesn't seem like any consideration is given to whether this hurts people or not. I get it with the school board wanting more money. I was there. It was all about the resources. I needed more tools so I could better meet the needs of the children, because it is all about the children, you know. But never once did it occur to me that ultimately somebody had to pay for all this stuff, and just possibly my demands made it more difficult for the families of those very children I so wanted to serve, not better. The truth is that today tax-paying people are struggling. Your own budget presentations make it clear that 37% to 39% of children in the county schools are from families that are economically disadvantaged or need subsidized lunches. That is a pretty large percentage and not indicative of a populace ripe for a big tax increase. What I've learned from this experience is how myopic, how arrogant and self-serving I was. Of course my demands did a disservice to those children by the increased tax burdens that were laid upon their families. I was part of the problem, not part of the solution, and I'm sorry. If I could do it over again, I would make different choices. I would take a Hippocratic oath type approach, and before I asked for anything more, I would make sure, first, do no harm. When the families are hurt, the children are hurt. I hope those asking for more will very thoughtfully weigh their budget requests on the scale of first, no harm.
Rex Sappenfield, followed by Dale Swanson.
7901 Waterford Drive.
I am an American for prosperity, and I am outraged by the ever-increasing numbers of people riding the wagon in this country than the dwindling numbers that are pulling it. I am also a Spotsylvania citizen, and I want to see my county prosper. Sadly, instead of investing in our community's future, local services, most notably our schools, are being bled out by a misguided platform of fiscal austerity. Why are we vexed by the notion that our schools require a larger budget? Due to state and federal laws, our budget needs will likely continue to increase for years to come without addressing the unfunded deficiencies that exist in our schools. These deficiencies include inadequate number of teachers and counselors, outdated textbooks and technology, countless maintenance issues, and worst of all, inequality among students across the 7 districts. I further offer that perhaps the increased public safety budget needs are a result of underfunding our schools for the last decade. Some residents and supervisors think the school board is wasting our money and not completely open with its spending, thanks to long past administration's unsavory spending habits. Some of this came by this belief, honestly. Guys, invite and encourage the strongest scrutiny of our budgets, okay? If you feel you've already gone the extra mile, adjust your packs and go another, okay? After witnessing the embarrassing rhetoric of the past weeks, let's start a campaign plan to educate the community on exactly what it takes to finance our school system, satiate our infatuation with salaries, and ask the Freelance Star to publish the entire system's pay scale. Finally, scrap the wish list and replace it with a regularly published list of justifiable unfunded deficiencies. Supervisors, to understand the conditions of the schools, you have to be in the schools. I hope you have been a lot. Don't try to wade through the rhetoric. And please avoid the dog and pony shows. Spend a half a day in a counselor's office. Then shadow an assistant principal. Be sure to visit inclusion classes and have private conversations with teachers. We always hear what you've done for the schools, what's been given to the schools. Get there and find out what remains to be done. Okay, we need to ensure our students are competitive with the students 10 miles up the road and around the world. Raised in Southern California, I experienced the unavoidable outcome of a broken school system. At some point, taxpayers were convinced that they were getting ripped off by public schools. For that, the wagon in California is now very heavy. And the handful of taxpayers they have left aren't debating school budgets. It's prisons. I'll close on a lighter side. I recommend YouTubing versions of DirecTV's new commercials, The Settlers. First, because they're hilarious. And in this mess, we all need something to laugh about. Secondly, because if you look carefully, that might represent somewhere the same direction where Spotsylvania is heading.
Sir, your time has expired. Thank you.
Dale Swanson, followed by Ashley Slump.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Dale Swanson. I live at 11904 Burgess Lane, Cortland District. And I am here today speaking on behalf of the Spotsylvania Conservative Women's Coalition. Get that, Freelance Star? The Spotsylvania and the school board, Spotsylvania Conservative Women's Coalition. We are mothers, grandmothers, retired school teachers, and friends of school teachers. We strongly oppose this increase in taxes beyond the equalization rate of 83 cents. The county board has advertised a maximum rate of 86 cents in order to raise $12.9 million more for schools. This will cause an increase in real estate tax on average of $78 per resident and $500 or more for many landowners. The average income for residents in Spotsylvania County is just over $40,000 a year, while the average salary for a school teacher is $54,000, not including their benefits, which is $20,000 or more. I thought we had a rule about that. We do not see a strong justification for these higher rates, especially when our economy is growing at a dismal rate of less than 2% per year, and retired citizens are facing the largest increase in Medicare premiums in the history of Medicare. I just got heckled. I didn't hear anybody say, do, or throw anybody out. Advocates for this tax increase say that those who oppose it are not compassionate. While we appreciate our teachers, just as our firefighters, our policemen, and paramedics, does that mean we have to increase their pay and our taxes every single time they ask? Does more government spending mean more efficiency? Absolutely not. The United States spends more per child on education than any other country in the world, and yet our students rank near the bottom of the pack in math and science. You will see elected officials and school employees say that they are doing it for the children and are compassionate. They will parade young children, teachers, and principals to tell how loving they are. We could just as easily bring low-income and retired citizens here to show how many people live month to month and cannot afford increases in their taxes. But why bother? It is self-evident how little compassion the school board has for this group of people. How do we live within our means in Spotsylvania County? How are we teaching our children about what it means to budget? Some officials have even campaigned on cutting expenses, and now they stand before you to raise them. Did they lie to us when they campaigned? What does this teach our children about honesty and integrity? We love our children, don't we? But when they come to us asking for money for things that they want, we have to look into our budget and see what it'll allow. Oftentimes, we have to reject the request. Does this mean we love them less? Absolutely not. Currently, 37% of our students qualify for reduced or free lunches. Are you really going to ask their parents to pay more for taxes? Is this what compassion looks like? Lastly, I am a private citizen. I have been targeted and bullied by these elected officials seeking a tax hike. As a county taxpayer, I am forced to pay the salaries and expenses of elected officials who use their positions to personally attack me and others. They have showed up at peaceful meetings to try to intimidate us and even accused citizens of extortion. This is a shameful lesson for our children to learn about government oppression. This is an extreme abuse of government power and demonstrates why limits on government are so essential to our free people. The primary and most effective means to limit government is to limit the taxes we pay. We also must remember that it is essential to balance our budget and to live within our means. We need to teach our children to seek freedom instead of free stuff. In conclusion, elected members can try to intimidate and silence us as if we live in a communist country and have no rights, but we will not be coward. Remember, the First Amendment established the right of citizens in the U.S. to speak freely, and the government shall not restrict that right. Thank you.
Ashley Schlem, followed by Alfred King.
Good evening. My name is Ashley Slimp. I'm a resident of the Berkeley District here in Spotsylvania County. Spotsylvania is a great place to live and raise a family. We have good roads, police officers that continually patrol the area to keep us safe, beautiful parks, and outstanding schools. We have all these things because we pay for them. As our county continues to grow, we'll need to increase all of these services. I believe the best and most important investment we can make is in the education of our children. Higher teacher salaries and support from elected officials will help us to attract the best and brightest teachers. With schools already over capacity, we need to start investing now. Currently, Spotsylvania County educates 24,000 students in grades K through 12. We're educating a small city here. Soon, these students will be sitting there where you are. They'll be running our corporations. They'll be starting new businesses. Some will be our plumbers, our electricians, and even our police officers. For them to lead our county, we must invest in them. These students will make the decisions that will affect each of us and we have the responsibility to provide them with the skills and knowledge to make good decisions. We must provide tools, equipment, and resources to educate them well. Educating these 24,000 students is a major investment in our collective future. 2 of these students are my daughters. I'm also a small business owner in Spotsylvania and serve over 100 of these students every day. Comments have been made about our teachers in the last month that disgust me. I've read comments calling our teachers ignorant. I not only disagree with this characterization of our teachers, but it also angers me. My youngest daughter entered the 3rd grade reading slightly below grade level. Her teacher helped her to leave the 3rd grade reading at a 5th grade level and achieve a perfect score on her reading SOL. I'm not sure who was more excited about these accomplishments, me, her, or her teacher. To have a teacher rejoice as much as a parent is truly a blessing. We've placed an undue burden on all of our teachers. We expect differentiated instruction within the classroom while preparing for a standardized test. If we lower the tax rate, we lose teachers, driving up the class sizes and making that task even more impossible. Also, we're lacking school buses and school bus drivers. We went to school for 19 days in March. 13 of those days, my daughter's bus came home late. 13 out of 19 because we don't have enough school bus drivers. We've also had kids have to stay after school till 4:15 because their bus is late. They need to be home, they need to be studying, they need to be eating dinner and playing outside. Education at the K through 12 level is a responsibility.
Ma'am, I'm sorry, but your time has expired.
It's our responsibility as a community to ensure that we raise an intelligent workforce in society. Thanks for that.
Alfred King. Followed by Viv Berry.
Representing the Republican Party, Alfred King in the Livingston District. The Republican Party stands for limited and efficient government and low taxes. Our tax burden should never increase at a rate faster than the economy grows. In the past, party politics, Republican or Democrat, did not enter into discussions on the county's budget or its support of education. For the first time, the Spotsylvania County Republican Committee is weighing in on a county budget decision. 6 of the 7 elected members of the Board of Education have made totally false accusations against the Republican Party. At the last meeting of the Board of Education, I told them that by declaring war on the Republican Party, they were politicizing education in our county. We now had no alternative but to respond to these false accusations. 2/3 of the proposed county budget is for education. As a party, we insist on cost-effective education. You must not give the Board of Education a blank check. The equalized tax rate of 83 cents already represents an approximate 1% increase in tax revenues. Going then from 83 to 86 is an almost 5% increase in property taxes in 1 year. Spotsylvania County this year has grown at most 1%, certainly not 5%. To keep the payment burden level means that the 83-cent rate should be adopted. If you adopt any increase above 83 cents, you are increasing the growth of government at a time when there is virtually no real growth in Spotsylvania. As responsible supervisors, you should now ask us, how can we cut the county administrator's proposed budget of 86 cents? The answer is surprisingly easy. First, some 2 cents of the increase is accounted for by debt service on new bond issues. The school division is asking for long-term bonds to be issued for short-term assets. Nobody in this room would take out a home mortgage to buy a personal computer, yet the school bond proposal encompasses such decisions. You should simply postpone for 1 year the bond issue, thus providing sufficient time for you and the public to scrutinize carefully, in detail, exactly what is proposed to be financed by bonds. Postponing the bond issue will go much of the way to retaining the 83-cent rate. The remaining savings should come from eliminating duplication of administrative and operating services, each now provided separately by the county and the school division. The Citizens Budget Review Committee has consistently recommended combining many of these service functions. Each time we proposed any consolidation, members of the Board of Education dragged their feet, telling us it won't work. The fact is that they never seriously considered the proposals we presented. The solution is simple. Just cut $1.3 million from the proposed school division budget. This will force the school division and the county to take seriously the very real savings, the savings potential from combining purchasing, legal, maintenance, finance, and IT functions. Cutting $1.3 million from the school budget will bring them to the negotiating table, and as a consequence, you will generate $1.3 million of savings for the taxpayers by eliminating existing massive and costly duplication. Finally, let's put total pay on the table. Based on the school division's own budget, the average compensation for each employee is some $52,000 a year. A further 40% for benefits brings the total cost to the taxpayer for each employee to over $70,000 a year. The Board of Education is asking the property taxes be raised on people already on food stamps, some of them, making on average perhaps $30,000 in order to provide increases for people making $70,000 or more than twice as much. This is not good politics. It's not good government. This is totally unfair for all hardworking county residents who are not lucky enough to have a generous government to support them. In conclusion, the Spotsylvania County Republican Committee strongly recommends keeping the equalized tax rate of 83 cents, and we've shown you how to do it.
Viv Berry, followed by Michael Berry.
Good evening. My name is Viv Berry, and I live at Lees Hill. I am opposed to raising our taxes and want to encourage all of us to work together to find ways to reduce our expenses and decrease our tax burden in the years ahead. When I say I'm opposed to raising taxes on all of us, I mean exactly that. Higher taxes hurt everyone. Raising taxes on homeowners raises the cost of homes and apartment rentals too. Every weekend for the past 6 years, I have been feeding cat colonies at a local motel. Lots of families live there, working to get back on their feet and back into real homes. Their kids are picked up by school buses and returned to play in a parking lot and a shared room. Let's not make the dream of a real home more expensive for them. Taxes have snuck up on everything. My water bill is double than it used to be, and taxes are higher on all my other bills too. Then there is Obamacare tax, which saved a few and has overwhelmed many. Raising taxes takes money away from our beloved nonprofits, many of whom we will hear from this evening. When we're struggling to pay our bills, they struggle more. I volunteer for 6 different nonprofits in a variety of capacities. All of my groups, every single one, are struggling because donations are down. Donations are way, way down this year. I am no financial wizard, but it doesn't take a whiz to know we cannot continue increasing spending as if we are not a debtor nation, state, and county. All of us here have ideas on how to turn our pennies into dimes and meet our needs without hurting our families and community. Here are a couple of mine. Our teachers need a raise and a happier work environment. Let's cut in half the number of SOL tests and practice tests. Let's freeze the purchasing of new textbooks. Let's send those savings, millions, back to our teachers. Our first responders need a raise and a safe work environment. We know we live just 1 hour away from the ISIS target, Washington, D.C. What can be cut or delayed in our county budget to provide more for them? Maybe someone else here tonight has ideas to share. Our Citizen Budget Review Committee needs volunteers. As far as I know, the Vital Committee is paused due to lack of support and participation. We need normal, practical people, plus the digit heads, to audit and balance our financial books. Please don't leave this meeting without committing to supporting this effort or one of the wonderful nonprofit organizations you meet this evening, like Big Brothers and Big Sisters. It's not enough for us to show up once a year. We need to volunteer our time, talent, and cooperative spirits. We are all of us a part of the solution or part of the problem. For the sake of our county and our children, let's work together to build a future we can all be proud of.
Michael Berry, followed by Dawn Napper.
Good
Good evening. I'm Michael Paul Moses Berry. I live in the Lees Hill District in the Lees Crossing subdivision. I've cut a lot of my speech out tonight, thanks to my wife. That's nothing new. When we bought our home, it was our plan to spend our autumn years here, where the cost of living and tax rates were comparatively low. Now, I believe that we have the finest teachers in the state. They've accomplished their work phenomenally in the face of burdensome requirements. These include SOL testing, administrative and bureaucratic overload, parental ambivalence, national and state level regulations and rules. Our teachers deserve the best pay and benefits that our county can afford. Our first responders also deserve the same. County employee pay and benefits are only part of the budget equation. In order to pay our teachers and first responders the best pay and benefits possible, we need to find efficiencies. If anybody here believes that there is not any bloat in the county schools budget or in the county budget, I believe you're wrong. I live in a residential district. The vast majority of my district consists of homeowners. Most of us are commuters. We are professionals and working people. We've worked hard to get the American dream. Since 2008, many of us have experienced unemployment, wage cuts, downsized companies, microeconomic slump, and hard times. How hard? Ask any volunteer, nonprofit, or charity organization how tough it's been. When disposable income goes down, so does charitable giving. It might be the elimination of Girl Scout cookies, mulch for the Boy Scouts, or trips to the local restaurant every month. It might be no car wash for the football team or donations to fill the bus for school supplies. But the community feels it. Most of us held on to our homes by the grace of God and serious budget management. With growth and inflation sitting at almost 2% and student growth at nil, how does that equate to a 5% increase in our tax burden? Whenever the perception need arises within the county budget, the first thing done is to hit the homeowner ATM. Although Lees Hill might be unique in that most of us are homeowners and not businesses, any tax increase is felt. It appears to me that the county works for us. Find the efficiencies, eliminate the bloat, pay our employees the best that we can afford, but hold the line at the equalized rate of 83 cents.
Dawn Napper, followed by Lori Clark.
My name's Dawn Napper. I'm in the Lee Hill District. Gentlemen, I'm going to start by saying I am tired of being villainized. I am tired of my coworkers and friends being villainized. We work hard at our jobs. We sacrifice time with our families and our health because we know that our jobs are not about us. Gentlemen, it is time you face the same hard truth. Your job is not about you, and it is not about what your political party wants. It is about the citizens of this county. You are so busy kowtowing to your political party and their lower taxes at any cost mentality that you are allowing the infrastructure of our county to rot away. You are sacrificing the quality of life of the citizens whose well-being has been placed into your hands for the sake of pleasing the minority. Worst of all, you are sacrificing the education and well-being of our children. Mr. Ross mentioned in the paper today increases in services. The only service I saw mentioned was a much-needed increase in fire station coverage. The other so-called services was a fiscal stability reserve of $3.85 million, $4.16 million budget stability reserve, $2 million for future economic development. Where are the services Mr. Ross claims the county is providing? Putting $10 million into rainy day funds is not a service the taxpayer can benefit from. As for pointing at raises of school employees, why did he not mention all county employees? Let's look at the equally deserving county employees' raises. In 2012, county employees received a 1.5% COLA. School employees received a 1% COLA and a $600 bonus. In 2013, county employees received a 2% COLA plus 1% to offset VRS payback. School employees received 0.8% plus 5% to offset an extra 5% taken out for VRS. In 2014, county employees received 1% plus 1% to offset VRS, and school employees received a $900 bonus but no pay increase. In 2015, county employees received 2% plus 1% to offset VRS. School employees received a step plus 1%. And in 2016, county employees will receive a merit pay bonus plus 1% offset for VRS. School employees will receive a 3% COLA. As you can see, county employees get more and larger raises than school employees at times. I do not count the VRS increase because that money was immediately removed from both the county and the school employees' paychecks. And in most cases, our paychecks went down. If you are going to share some of the county employees' raise information, you should also share all county employees' raise information for the sake of transparency. Making school employees appear to be the only county employees to receive a raise is unfair to the hardworking school employees, and it misrepresents information to the public. You have already pigeonholed yourselves by not advertising even a 2-cent higher tax rate. Do not harm this county even more by setting a tax rate that is lower than 86 cents. The citizens of this county deserve better. Our children deserve better.
Lori Clark. Followed by Kathy Anderson.
Good evening. I'm Lori Clark. I live on 612 Stonewall Lane, and we're in the Chancellor District. This is my daughter, Caitlin. I grew up in Spotsylvania County. I went to Spotsylvania County schools. I'm teaching in Spotsylvania County schools now, and my 2 children attend 2 different schools as well. I thought tonight I would just share a few reasons to fully support our proposed school budget and to keep the advertised 86-cent tax rate. Obviously, we want to positively and safely maintain our school renovations and construction. I'm not sure everybody realizes how many buildings there are to maintain. There's 17 elementary schools, 7 middle schools, 5 high schools, an alternative learning center, a career technology center, and I think it's just a whole lot for them to maintain. I know at our building a lot of times we are very, very hot or very, very cold, and we are trying to be understanding because there are so many buildings to maintain. So a lot of our budget goes to that. Obviously, we want to retain and attract passionate, innovative, and effective educators and support staff. The infrastructure of our school system is very complex, and it takes a lot of people collaborating together. From, like I said, maintenance to our nurse, to the math and reading specialist, bus drivers, the list goes on. We are always striving to improve student learning, engagement, critical thinking, technology initiatives. All of this obviously takes money in the budget. To meet the needs of our growing number of students with disabilities, we definitely need to see that 86 cents. We currently have over 3,000 students with individual education plans, and this number increases each year. To comply with federal mandates, we must fully accommodate our students with special needs. I believe there's 24 special education positions requested, and these are imperative to provide the least restrictive environment for these students. In my own classroom, I have seen many students that have gone through child study and become eligible for services, and their needs are just not fully met. As try as we may, when we get so many students in our class, we're just pulled in so many directions, and it's just not fair to the kids. I think of my own son. He has a chromosome disorder, and without him having a paraeducator, he wouldn't be able to make choices. He's nonverbal, so he uses an iPad to communicate, and I think of how much he is able to do because of all the therapists at his school, and like I said, his paraeducator and all the support that he does have. It's so crucial to reduce our class sizes to give every child a chance to succeed. With the new developments that are coming and that you guys have approved, we anticipate tremendous enrollment growth, and I know a lot of our schools are already filled to capacity. And my most important reason I want to share with you is to prepare every student to succeed as a responsible, respectful, and productive citizen of Spotsylvania County. And one last thing. Oh, hurry. I just want to thank everyone that has been fighting the good fight for our schools and our kids and our county.
Kathy Anderson. Followed by Mary Manhart.
Good evening, Spotsylvania County Supervisors and Administrator Taylor. Appreciate the opportunity to talk. I'm Kathy Anderson from Empower House, and I wanted to thank you for the proposed budget contribution to the services that are provided at our Domestic Violence Center. We used to be called the Rappahannock Council on Domestic Violence, RCDV. The new shelter that you have contributed to will be opening in Spotsylvania. with double the capacity of the current shelter. The last one was built in 1988, and our population has expanded across the planning district. Our offices are located in Spotsylvania County. We serve the planning district. When the new shelter opens, the former shelter will close. Last year, Empower House served 868 women, men, and their children in Spotsylvania, or rather from Spotsylvania. And Spotsylvania represented almost one-third of the services that the localities fund. Just a couple other facts. I want to let you know that over the last 6 years, Empower House was not able to serve 21 Spotsylvania families in our shelter because it was full. The good news is that we were able to shelter 361 Spotsylvanians over that time in the shelter. Our services are much more expansive than shelter, but I'm speaking specifically about that because you know about the plans to open the new shelter, and we anticipate that will happen in June. We're very pleased and thankful for the efforts for permitting and all of that. I wanted to say that last year, Spotsylvania received $256,000 worth of Empower House services for the victims and children who were served last year and contributed $48,748. That means that Spotsylvania received over 207,000 services that were funded by federal government, state government, United Way, and local contributions. So we appreciate the contribution that Spotsylvania provides, which is nearly 4.5% of all of the services the localities fund. Thank you.
Mary Manhart, followed by Sandra Barnstead.
Good evening. My name is Mary Manhart, and I am a resident in Spotsylvania County. I reside at 8016 Cherry Tree Drive, and I am here as a resident to speak up on behalf of the Disability Resource Center as a consumer of their organization. I've lived in Spotsylvania County for the last 4 years. I moved here in 2011, really not knowing anyone and not being connected to any resources in the county. I virtually moved to Fredericksburg from the Northern Virginia area, not knowing a soul. And I can tell you the Disability Resource Center, on behalf of other people with disabilities, has done wonderful things for me, and they have done so much for others with disabilities in the community, as far as helping them provide them with jobs. They connected me with the Virginia Department of Rehabilitative Services, which enabled me to complete my master's degree at Liberty University. I'm now a therapist at Grace Counseling Center in Fredericksburg, and I just can't say enough about the different resources that they provided in my own personal journey, as far as they provided me with glasses, they provided me with getting a wheelchair, they fund the equipment connection, which is for people with disabilities who cannot afford resources for their disability. So I'm just here to speak as a grateful consumer and encourage funding for this valuable organization. Thank you.
Sandra Barnstead, followed by Patricia Murray.
Good evening. My name is Sandra Barnstead, and I reside in the Lee Hill District. I moved to Spotsylvania 10 years ago. I only intended to stay here for a few years, and I've made the choice to stay. Generally, Spotsylvania has been good to me, but I have to say that I have never been so embarrassed to tell people that I'm from Spotsylvania County the past month or so. The recent attacks on teachers in Spotsy schools are deplorable. The attacks are filled with propaganda and lies, not to mention several spelling and grammatical errors. And to what end? And to what end? To turn an entire community on educators? So much effort has been put into these attacks, and I'm now questioning the types of people I live amongst in this community. These attacks should not be tolerated by anyone. Who will be attacked next? Firefighters? Police officers? Emergency medical response teams? Diminishing public funds is not the way to improve the quality of our community. Spotsylvania needs public education. It needs our firefighters. It needs our police officers. It needs all of the public services that tax dollars fund to be funded at a 21st century level. A ray of hope came this afternoon as community members rallied to stand and honk in support of our schools and educators. I know what you're thinking. All those people were just teachers. I have a few things to say about that. First is, if you ever say that someone is just a teacher, you obviously have no idea what it takes to be an educator, and frankly, you probably wouldn't make it in the profession. Second, most Spotsy educators are taxpayers. Their voices are no less important than anyone else's in the room. Taxpayers are taxpayers, and as elected officials, you must listen to them. And third, I'm not a Spotsy school employee, and I stood out there to support public education because I want everyone to know that many of us find the recent attacks in education shameful. I believe that the advertised tax rate should be adopted in order to stop the erosion of public service funds like education within my community. Adopting anything less would be irresponsible and a detriment to public schools and services. I also believe that the Board of Supervisors should take a stand in support of any persons or groups of persons under attack by stating that no members of their community should be degraded or attacked through the use of hateful messaging by publicly condemning all actions like the most recent taken against teachers and schools. I would like to be proud of where I choose to live, not embarrassed. Thank you.
Patricia Murray, followed by Terry Desmarius.
Good evening, and I want to tell you I'm Patricia Murray from the Lees Hill District, and I've lived in Spotsylvania for 10 years, and I bought my house 10 years ago, and it was $230,000, $230,000, and now it went down 6 months after I bought it for $130,000, and it's up to about $160,000 now. And most of my neighbors and myself are retired. I know everybody. I'm an extrovert. I like to talk to people. So at any rate, they're all in the same position I'm in. The house went down, right? So then all the other taxes for utilities and food and everything has gone up, and we're all on fixed income. I was a social worker, so we don't have a lot of discretionary dinero money. So then people are retired now and getting much older, like I am, in their 80s, and they have to go live with family and such. They have to rent their homes because they can't get any money out of it. Of course, they're all below market right now, and it's been that way for 10 years. So, they can't afford. They're getting, some of them did $1,000 for a 3-bedroom house for quite a while. Now they're gone out, they can't get the $1,000 even. People don't have the money to pay $1,000 for a nice home anymore. So they're in bad straits. And not just a few of us, there are a lot of people like me. I'm grateful to God I've got my health, and my house is paid for, and I can stay there. If I'm 85 and work at McDonald's, that's okay too. But it's going down with all the taxes going up. And I do feel also, I'm glad to see the budget, but I do feel that it needs to be more detailed. Where is all this money going from? Why are we spending so much in this country and as overall having a poor education, and the teachers are overworked? I was substituting after I was and they had to go to meetings after the 2, then they stay up to 10 o'clock to correct things. They're overworked, and yet, something's wrong here. I mean, the whole system needs to be taken care of, and I don't know what that is, but that's for greater brains than I. But money isn't always the answer. I don't believe that, because it's going to come back. The more the taxes that they get, the more money they get, the more taxes they're going to have to pay. So it's a big circle that we're all in, and I feel that circle. And I feel for my neighbors. I am blessed. God has taken care of me, but I'm not in that position that I have to go live with children or things like that. And so I'm all right. But that's just me, and that's not everybody. So I don't know how to handle it, but I can only say I don't think the taxes should be raised. Thank you so much.
Terry Desmarius, followed by William Nightingale Jr.
Good evening. My name is Terry Damaris, and I reside in the Lee Hill voting district, and I'm here tonight to support the students and children of Spotsylvania County. In the spirit of transparency, I have no children, and I am a property owner, and the assessed value of my home recently went up. And yes, I know what my property value amount is, and I am an educator here in the county. I would like to thank Mr. Yakubowski and Mr. Cibola for their public efforts at decorum over the last month. I am here to urge the board to maintain the advertised tax rate of 86 cents in order that the current proposed county administrator's budget has a chance to be funded. Without some priority shifting and mindset changes from this board, even maintaining the current advertised tax rate will not allow for a fully funded school board budget. As a supporter of education and a tax-paying citizen of this county, this saddens me very greatly. Our community deserves better. I have spent many hours over this past month trying to figure out why so many citizens of our great nation would spend so much time vocally against education, and I've decided that it's because of teachers. We have been saying that it's not about teachers, it's not about me, because I truly believe it's not really about me. I'm really a resource. I provide facilitation of knowledge for students, but really, in actuality, it is about me. Because you see, education is the business of shaping people. A lot of what happens in education happens through the creation of relationships that are developed between teachers and students every day that we work together to reach goals. Through those goals, those relationships, we build people who think, analyze problems, solve problems, vote, critically question things, discuss and debate, and citizens are born. Creation of strong, vibrant people who hopefully are going to turn into educated, strong, independent, critical thinkers who will know manure when they hear it. It is not about me, it's about them. And therefore, I hope that you will think of them and the future of our county when you vote next week.
William Nightingale Jr., followed by Nancy Cole.
Supervisors, my name is William Nightingale Jr., and I live in the Battlefield District. The budget is a statement of financial position of the county administration for a definite period of time based on estimates of expenditures during the fiscal year and proposals financing that fiscal year, with the hope of maintaining or lowering the tax rate. This 2017 budget was fashioned around 86 cents tax rate with no increases needed or requested. However, there can always be room for improvement. The following are just examples that can and should be improved. Unnecessary redundancy is a part of the system that has the same function as another part, and when eliminated, can lower the expenditures within the system and increase efficiency. The following items within the school budget are redundant items and should be investigated for consolidation as a county function only. Building and grounds maintenance, human relations department, purchasing limited to items not required for education of students, revamp joint fleet maintenance to better serve the school system, lack of transparency. $189,400 is spent on on-call services. Is this absolutely necessary? Just bad planning or a way of rewarding people, certain people? Since 2011, the Information Technology Department has spent $1.9 million on computer hardware, That's $56,100 per staff member. Why so much in this time period, and what happened to all the replaced equipment? Why are there twice as many staff members in human resources and information technology department as compared to Stafford County with a higher population? Why is our information budget 42.2% higher than Stafford? Why is our VRE budget 45.2% higher than Stafford? Why is our public works budget 138.9% higher than Stafford? County debt. The citizen of Spotsylvania County responsible for outstanding debt remaining on various finances undertaken for purposes of funding general county projects, school projects, transportation projects, and water and sewer projects. That debt runs from 2017 to 2047, just 30 years. The bottom line is the total debt will be $447.4 million with an interest of $152.2 million. The total debt will be that number plus 34.1% interest, that making it $599.6 million, or approximately $4,800 per man, woman, and child, based on our current population of 125,000. It's still quite a heavy burden. Spotsylvania County needs to improve its bond rating by considering the affordability of action plans before they become a part of the budget. My time is up.
Nancy Cole, followed by Scott Cook.
Hello, my name is Nancy Cole. I live in the Cortland District of Spotsylvania County, and I thank you supervisors for being here this evening. Now, I asked you why this county should raise taxes any higher than what is already advertised in these hard times. How are the county employees any different than me and my husband, who are in retirement age? My husband, who is approaching retirement age, pays over half his pay in taxes, and we do not have a lot of time left to work. I'd like to give you an idea of what the American citizens pay in taxes. Accounts receivable tax, building permit tax, capital gains tax, CDL license tax, cigarette tax, corporate income tax, court fines, dog license tax, federal income tax, federal unemployment tax, fishing license tax, food license tax, fuel permit tax, gasoline tax, hunting license tax, inheritance tax, inventory tax, IRS interest charges, tax on top of tax, IRS penalties, tax on top of tax, liquor tax, local income tax, luxury tax, marriage license tax, Medicare tax, property tax, real estate tax, septic permit tax, service charge taxes, Social Security tax, road usage taxes, sales taxes, recreation vehicle taxes, Obamacare, school tax, state income tax, state unemployment tax, telephone federal exercise tax, telephone federal universal service fee tax, telephone federal, state, and local surcharge taxes, telephone minimum usage surcharge tax, telephone reoccurring and non-reoccurring charges tax, telephone state and local tax, telephone usage charge tax, toll bridge taxes, toll tunnel taxes, traffic fines, trailer registration tax, utility tax, vehicle sales tax, watercraft registration tax, well permit tax, workers' compensation tax, and on and on and on. We can't afford it. Enough is enough.
Scott Cook, followed by Aaron Sherwood.
Yes, my name's Scott Cook. I live at 10818 Catharpin in Livingston District. I've come before the supervisors before and explained to you that all of my income was ever made was in Spotsylvania County. I've been here as employed in the county since 1973, and I didn't go up the road to work. I worked right here. I've checked in on my Social Security benefits when they would come due, and my best year was 1979. I made $35,000 in Spotsylvania County. I'm retired now, and there is no more income coming in. I live on a fixed income. I'm not whining, I'm not complaining. I just have this fixed income, and I don't mind that, but I can't keep on with taxes, 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 and stay here. I was hoping this board was going to cut some taxes and some services. That hadn't happened. I've had to cut, for example, I had to give up my health care. I have no health care now at all. I did have a nice plan that I was very happy with, but the deductibles are so high now, and I could never meet them. So any deal I made for any health services, I had to pay out of pocket. So not only did I have the premiums to pay, now I have to pay the hospital and doctors and so on out of pocket. The second thing I had to give up, which hurts me a lot, I had to give up family vacation this year. It's not on a cruise ship anywhere, it's to a campground for 2 days. And the third thing, I had to take one of my vehicles off the road. It's not a new vehicle, it's a 1987. Like I said, I'm not whining, I'm not complaining. I just need you to take your hand out of my pocket, let me alone. I went to Mr. Benton's town hall, and a citizen said this will all be solved when we get rid of these old people, and the new people won't mind paying these taxes. So I'm not going anywhere, but I would appreciate it if you considered it 83 cents. Thank you.
Aaron Sherwood, followed by Jeanette Carter.
My name is Erin Sherwood. I live at 7109 Hillwood Court in the Livingston District. And as you turn your attention to the difficult budgetary issues before you, please ask yourself 2 questions. Who are we as a county, and who do we want to be? Currently, we are a county portrayed as being at war over the education of our children. We are being mocked on a national level for an anti-teacher flyer with a misspelled word in bold print. Yes, we've gotten the attention of the national media who have used the tagline, and I quote, "This brochure against raising taxes uses the worst logic in the world." Is this who we are? Is this who we want to be? I think we're better than that. The National Center for Education compiles data from the U.S. Department of Education and the Virginia Department of Education and ranks all the schools in Virginia. When I did my research, naturally the schools in Northern Virginia, they dominate the top 10, but Richmond's in the top 10, Virginia Beach is in the top 10, Spotsylvania County, not one school in the top 10, not one school in the top 50, not one school in the top 100, and this is concerning. What do they have that we don't? Well, the data clearly shows that their classroom sizes are smaller than ours, which means they have more staff to support their needs. And yes, they do pay higher taxes. And I'm not proposing any Fairfax County type taxes for us, but we must support our schools in a way that they can provide the highest quality education for our children. And that means investing in retaining our quality teachers, investing in the tools that are necessary to keep up with our ever-changing technology, and investing in maintaining our quality programs, such as the Commonwealth Governor's Program, the Career and Technology Center, our ESOL programs, and the multitude of programs that we have to support our students with special needs. I want to see our rankings go up, and in fact, they have gone up rather dramatically under the leadership of Dr. Baker and the hard work, blood, sweat, and tears, and devotion of our teachers. But we have a long way to go. Ultimately, I believe that we all share a mutual goal. We want to prepare our kids to pursue their passions, whether that be college, tech school, or the workforce. And wouldn't it be great if they came back to Spotsylvania County and shared their talents with our community. I don't like taxes, no one does, but I accept the responsibility to my community to do my part to ensure the safety of our people and the education of our children. I fully support the advertised tax rate of 86 cents.
Jeanette Carter. Followed by Sharon Cook.
Good evening. My name is Jeanette Carter, and I live and vote in the Lee Hill District. Tonight, I ask you to approve an 86-cent tax rate to provide adequate funding for the basic needs of our community. As a teacher in Spotsylvania County, I would like to share my insight on how underfunding the needs of our schools will impact our students. We know an 86-cent rate will not fully fund the needs-based budget, but further cuts caused by a rate less than 86 cents will be detrimental to every student in every Spotsylvania classroom. All citizens are stakeholders in the success of our students and should find this unacceptable. One of the most alarming cuts that I've heard discussed is the elimination of 33 teaching positions as retiring teachers are not replaced. If more special education positions are not added, existing teachers will also have to be reallocated to fill those roles. Fewer general education teachers will undoubtedly lead to larger class sizes. And as you would expect, research indicates that smaller class sizes lead to higher student achievement. This impact is especially significant for minority students and economically disadvantaged students who combine to fill the majority of the seats in our county's classrooms. We would continue moving in the wrong direction by increasing the student-teacher ratio. Education is truly a community asset, and it's also a community responsibility. Our Spotsylvania teachers work not only to engage and challenge our students academically, but also to build success skills that will make them productive, critically thinking, career and college-ready graduates who will rise to be leaders and innovators in Spotsylvania County. But the strength of the education we can provide to our students depends on the resources made available to our schools. Some have raised the concern of how lower-income families will financially survive a tax increase. As a teacher, I am acutely aware of the challenges these families face and would not advocate for anything that would lower the standard of living for these children. The difference in the average taxpayer's bill next year between an 83-cent and an 86-cent rate amounts to about $73 or 20 cents a day. And that is an average. So for lower-income families who presumably also own or rent less expensive homes, this impact will be far less. This tax increase will not significantly affect our citizens' ability to provide for their families, but it will make an enormous impact in adequately funding our county's needs. It is heartbreaking that some are so quick to disregard what is best for our community in favor of their own self-interest of saving 20 cents a day, especially when that impacts the success of our children and the future of our community. For myself and your other Spotsylvania educators, education is not just a profession, but a calling, passion, and lifestyle that we give our heart and soul to each day to provide the best for our children. I ask you, when you vote on the tax rate, to do your part in raising up our county through education by approving the 86-cent rate. Thank you.
Sharon Cook. Followed by Marcy Fields.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Sharon Cook. I live in the Livingston District, and I'm a constitutional conservative. I am a Spotsylvania native. I was born in Mary Washington Hospital in 1943. My father was born near Todd's Tavern. My grandfather was born less than 2 miles from there on my great-grandfather's farm near Brock Road School. Back then, D.C. was a 2-day trip by wagon if your wheels didn't fall off on the way. In 1933, when my parents were married, my father was a mechanic and my mother was a seamstress. Their combined income was $7.50 a week, and somehow they managed. My father's theory was, if you don't have the cash to pay for it, don't buy it. I was raised by parents that grew up in the Depression, and good management went a long way. I went to Chancellor School. I went to Spotsylvania High School and graduated in 1960. I took a secretarial course and I went to work for a small farm machinery company in town. When I married, I quit my job and went home to be a stay-at-home mom. I raised 5 children in this county. In 1987, I sold my family's home, and by the grace of God, I was able to buy a tract of land on Catharpin Road. I designed my own home, and I contracted it myself. Spotsylvania probably did pretty well by me, I think. I've lived there for almost 27 years, some good, some not so good. I don't get a pension. I had saved some money along the way, but when the market crashed in 07 and 08, I lost most of it. Social Security sends me $400 a month. People that stay at home and raise their children and are self-employed don't usually make much or get much out of that program. So in the winter, we keep our heat at 62 degrees. In the summer, we open our windows to cut down on utility bills. I'm back to selling eggs and butter like my grandparents did back in the 40s and 50s, just to make ends meet. I'm 72 years old. Spotsylvania is my home, my family's heritage. I pray the board will remember that many of our tax-paying constituents who pay their salaries, as well as the salaries of all the county employees, work in the private sector and are still unemployed, underemployment, or retired and make less than $30,000 a year. Real estate taxes are not based on income or assessed value of our homes. When I built my house, I had an income. Not so much now. My assessment went up, so my taxes will go up regardless. I pray that you would keep the rate at 83 cents, or even less if possible. I don't want to leave my home, not at this age. Just remember, the Lord said, if you fall on your knees and you cry out to me, I will heal your land. And I think we need to get back to those.
Marcy Fields, followed by Deanna Yost.
Good evening. My name is Marcy Fields. I'm the resident of Spotsylvania County. I'm in the Chancellor District. I'm a parent of children that attend in the county, and I'm fortunate to be the principal of Courthouse Road Elementary. I feel blessed to be able to work under Dr. Baker and his cabinet. I stand behind our school's mission to prepare all students for the future and our school's vision to be a leading school division that inspires and empowers students. As you are aware, our county has developed a strategic plan, and within that plan, there are critical issue areas, and I'm going to address 2 this evening. First one is the need for student-based learning to include more individualized small groups and the expectation for structured intervention practices. The second critical issue is that there is an increase of students eligible for special education, particularly in the area of autism spectrum disorders. In order to be a leading school division and appropriately address these critical issue areas, we must have the funding. If we do not have the funding, we do not have the appropriate number of trained staff to support our students so that we can effectively support our initiative of small group instruction and targeted interventions for students in need. Dr. Baker is asking for an additional 24 special education personnel. I can tell you that if we do not receive the support in this area, our programs will be at max capacity. In addition, we will have to band-aid our lack of support through hourly personnel just to stay in compliance with federal and state mandates. This is not offering our children with the greatest needs the best opportunity to truly succeed. And with that, sometimes it even puts the least qualified into positions that serve the most in need. Again, our mission is to prepare all students for the future, not just some, and our vision is to be a leading school division. Now, it is important to note we've made great gains. We are moving in the right direction. 27 out of 29 of our schools are now fully accredited. We have not yet met our federal AMOs in reading with our students with disabilities and limited English proficiencies. I assure you that is not the result of the qualified people working hard in our county. It is the lack of resources. Comparable divisions to our north and south, both Stafford and Hanover counties, have met all AMOs and all schools are fully accredited. The 2016 school rankings for the state of Virginia show Fairfax at 4, Prince William 16, Hanover 19, Stafford 26, Spotsylvania 49. In looking at Stafford County, the most comparable to our district, 2016 operating budget alone was greater, as $869 more were spent per student. We in Spotsylvania County want to provide the very best practices for our children. However, instructional methodology is only as good as the funding there to support it. I do not want to be 49. I know our taxpayers do not want to be 49. I respectfully urge you to support Dr. Baker's school budget. Thank you.
Deanna Yost. Followed by Justin Langridge.
My name is Deanna Yost. I am in Lee Hills District. I am a former teacher. I've been a resident here for over 17 years. I am on the side of the teachers. I am on the side of not raising taxes as well. I believe that people have been drawing lines here, that we are attacking each other, and I think we're all on the same side. And I'm looking at a room full of angry people, and it saddens my heart, and it does. And I'm really looking at the problem of these gentlemen, because they're the ones that dole out the money. They're the ones taking your money, and they're the ones doling it out, and we don't know where it's going. And that's not right. And if you aren't angry about it, what is going on? You should be angry about that. We need education for our children. We need funding for our children. I am 110% with you on that. But I don't want to see gentlemen and ladies being robbed because these men can't get their acts together. And I'm sorry that you don't like what I'm saying, but it's very true. And asking people to spend more money is not going to get you what you want. And I am very, very disappointed with every single one of you up here, because less than 9 months ago, you were trying to build a $43 million stadium. And shame on you. So I think you all need to figure this out and really think about where your money's going. That's all I have to say.
Justin Langridge. Followed by Heather Drain.
Good evening. I'll be the only member of our association speaking tonight out of respect of everybody's time and the board. Thank you. My name is Justin Langridge. I'm the president of Spotsylvania Career Firefighters Association. Our office is located at 9835 Courthouse Road. I, like many of our members, live and pay taxes in Spotsylvania, and I'm a resident of Mr. Skinner's district. Our association is comprised of approximately 90% of the eligible workforce employed by Spotsylvania County Department of Fire, Rescue, and Emergency Management. And tonight I ask for your help supporting the current employees of our county by voting for a tax rate needed to fund our budgetary needs. In lieu of talking at length about a single issue or a list of wants, I'd like to respectfully share some thoughts and comments with you tonight. Patriots, self-designated conservatives, party members, and oath keepers, I truly admire your work and involvement in our local government process. Local government is, in my opinion, our truest form of democracy and what I personally believe our founding fathers envisioned. I'm not afforded a view of the county from every point, but please, I hope you believe me when I say that from our vantage point, we are truly running lean. As a taxpayer, that's good, but I caution you to please don't let us become too lean. Local tax dollars are the few dollars that we can most immediately see and feel. They're your schools, parks, dump sites, libraries, and county personnel that directly serve and support you. So while the federal government is spending $856,000 to teach mountain lions how to walk on treadmills, or to know if mothers love their dogs as much as they love kids at a cost of $371,000, yes, that really happened, We are not spending millions to study the aquatic mating habitats of the capybara. We must continue to maintain diligence and oversight, to be judicious in the spending of tax dollars, but please maintain a situational awareness around the things that we are giving up. Growth. It's been said that our growth is not outpacing those around us, but in Mr. King's own neighborhood, they're still building $1 million houses. There's 2 major commercial projects going on in the county. Last year, we saw a 3% increase locally and a 7 to 8% regionally. That's cited by the Freelance Star January 2015. This year, the Freelance Star reported a 5.4% growth here in the county. If that's not growth, I don't know what is. The Consumer Price Index. I've heard and read some talk about this, so I just want to point out that the COLAs and the merit increases that our members have received have not kept pace with the national CPI since 2008, meaning that our county employees physically earn less money today than they did 8 years ago and face the same budgetary challenges in their own households that many of our citizens do. And no, I'm not figuring in the additional rise in healthcare costs that they've also incurred. Mr. Ross, you wrote a letter that was published in today's Freelance Star, and I'd like to make a couple of comments on it. The long overdue 24/7 staffing of firehouses finally came to fruition, partially funded by increasing our members' scheduled work hours from 2,080 to 2,756 hours annually without any increase in pay. In fact, hourly wages decreased, further reducing the value of any overtime that members might earn. The stations being constructed are overdue, and the relief that you mentioned goes to the citizens who deserve it, but our members need relief too in the form of compensation, not expansive buildings. Our radio system overhaul, also overdue then in the project design phase, and that the previous equipment was end of life, and the equipment we are still using today. It's overdue now, 2 years behind on implementation since the contract was signed. Is that our county support service personnel stretched too thin? Is it because we failed to hire qualified personnel with competitive compensation packages or have programs in place to retain them? These are also only some of the needs that have been funded. You say that in your experience, efficiencies only occur when they're forced, but when do efficiencies become sacrifices and when do you draw the line? Sir, your method is very similar to some business strategies that bleed profits from companies before spinning them off as a shell of what they once were. Please exercise your strategy cautiously and judiciously. There is little good in most things when taken to an extreme. I hope you hear me that I'm not criticizing you or attacking you or singling out, merely responding. I truly respect your passion and your efforts to steward our tax dollars. We're losing our experience and depth within our ranks. When our members do not see an opportunity to be able to better provide for themselves or their families, they start to look elsewhere. Nobody expects to get rich doing this, and they shouldn't. We can't compete with Fairfax salaries, nor should we. But unless our direction down the road is to fill seats with warm bodies and continue to waste money on turnover, something has to change. I'll leave you with this. Federal employee, firefighter, medic, $80,000 to $105,000. We're not getting increases, but we're not making federal wages either. Thank you all.
Heather Drain. Followed by Jackie Schlesinger.
My name is Heather Drain, and I live in the Berkeley District. I'm a teacher at Battlefield Middle School. Yes, I'm a teacher. I'm also a homeowner and a taxpayer. I pay property taxes here in Spotsylvania. I pay state and federal taxes. We all know that government taxes us and operates at different levels, and we can at all times be frustrated when we see our tax money spent on things we don't agree with or that seem wasteful or appear to benefit someone far removed from ourselves or our community. But we should not confuse national politics with local politics. When we pay property taxes, that money is spent here. That money is invested in our community and it benefits us. That is why I asked the Board of Supervisors to keep the advertised rate of 86 cents and fully fund public schools. When we pay local taxes, we invest in our community, the bedrock of which is the public education system. These school buildings are our community buildings, and they build our community. When people are deciding where to move, one of the first considerations is the quality of the educational system. And when we provide a solid, supportive education to our children, those children enter society ready to contribute. They are less likely to engage in antisocial or criminal behavior. Instead, they become tax-paying citizens who work for their community, spend money in their community, tithe to churches in their community, and that benefits all of us here. Too often we hear about the wastefulness of the federal government, but again, we must not confuse the excesses or inefficiencies of any other level of government with our local system here in Spotsylvania. A study conducted by an independent consulting group for the Virginia Department of Education found Spotsylvania to be a highly efficient and fiscally innovative district. That study is public record and can be found at the Virginia Department of Education website. Another matter of public record, our teacher salaries. Anyone curious about how much teachers really make can access that information on the county website. I can tell you all of this, and you can certainly research these issues on your own, but there is another way to understand what is really happening in Spotsylvania County schools. I invite you to become involved with your local school so that you can see firsthand a return on the investment you are making in our community. Attend a sporting event, a choral or musical performance, a talent show or theatrical production. Come to the middle school debate tournament on April 30th at Nye River Middle. Come and see what I get the honor, the privilege of seeing every day, the amazing talent, leadership, academic and athletic ability that the young people of our community possess. Come and see what we are doing to make Spotsylvania County, the county where I live and work and that I proudly call home, the best community in the state of Virginia. And then make the right decision. Thank you.
Jackie Schlesinger, followed by Samantha Franklin.
I'm Jackie Schlesinger, and I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to speak as a Spotsylvania resident and also as the Development Director for Rappahannock Legal Services. Thanks to your continued funding, we were able to leverage your $28,684 in financial support to provide free legal services that benefit our local Spotsylvania citizens. 542 Spotsylvania residents were assisted by our 2 full-time and 1 part-time attorneys. That includes critical domestic violence cases. We obtained approximately $290,000 in annualized child and spousal support, and low-income Spotsylvania residents avoided more than $326,468 in unlawful fees, fines, and debts. We represent low-income people who need an attorney in civil legal matters only. As you know, the courts do not provide free legal representatives for civil matters, such as domestic violence, protective orders, child support, unemployment benefits, landlord-tenant, and foreclosure matters. We are the only agency providing this service. In Spotsylvania County alone, there are 10,726 eligible low-income persons who would qualify for our services. The number of clients who need our services has increased, while donations have decreased, all due to the difficult economy. We all understand that all too well, and we also understand the tough times that are currently tightening county budgets. Therefore, this year, we are asking for level funding of the same $28,684. As an outside agency, we behave like an inside agency by helping county governments in several ways. We take the strain off county social services safety net by lifting clients out of poverty with enforceable court orders of child and spousal support. Low-income residents are able to get the appropriate unemployment benefits they would not otherwise have won without our legal intervention. We help the county court system run more efficiently by helping those who can't afford an attorney. Citizens representing themselves slow the judicial system down considerably because they do not understand the system, most of us really don't, and how to present their cases in an appropriate manner. When you total the real measurable financial help we give to the residents of Spotsylvania County, Rappahannock Legal Services serves the taxpayers well by judicially managing its finances. Spotsylvania County's poor citizens received more than $616,000 in enforceable county court orders and avoided additional costs in false claims against them. In the last fiscal year alone, the 3 offices of our agency obtained nearly $2 million for our clients throughout the 17 counties that we serve. This money was obtained by our attorneys free of charge for these county citizens. Again, thank you for your role in helping Spotsylvania's low-income citizens achieve the American ideal of justice for all by funding Rappahannock Legal Services, a nonprofit organization. Thank you very much.
Samantha Franklin, followed by David Lappick.
Good evening. I'm Samantha Franklin, and I live in the Battlefield District. I have been a resident of Spotsylvania County for 16 years, and I'm the mother of a 12-year-old that attends Chancellor Middle School. I am also, I am proud to say, a second-grade teacher at Harrison Road Elementary School. Every day, 22 fantastic kids walk into my classroom. They hang up their book bags, pick up their pencils, and prepare to start their day. Scattered among the notebooks and the brightly colored folders are their hopes, insecurities, joys, and a seemingly inexhaustible supply of energy and questions. They are bright, curious, and very funny. I can honestly say that my kids amaze me every day, and they would amaze you too if you can meet them. In this highly charged world of constituents, tax rates, political agendas, and budget priorities, it would be easy to overlook my kids and the thousands of other kids that are Spotsylvania's smallest citizens. They won't pay taxes, make campaign contributions, or vote for any of you in the next election. Still, I want you to know them at least a little bit, because I hope you'll think of them as you make the big decisions that will have such a huge impact on their education and their future. They deserve the world and so much more. That said, I understand all too well as a teacher what it means to have to live on a budget. It's not a complaint. It's just the reality of choosing a profession in which the cost of living and maintaining a household grows a whole lot faster than take-home pay. I understand. It's all about living within our means and setting our priorities carefully. It turns out, though, that there is truth in cliché. Our children are indeed our future. Education is their right and our most sacred responsibility. I recognize that you, as elected supervisors, must take into account the needs and priorities of all of Spotsylvania's citizens. But I'm asking you to make our children your highest priority. It is hard to imagine anything more important. I ask that you support our school board, our superintendent, and the many dedicated people who work tirelessly to meet our students' needs and prepare them for the many challenges ahead. I ask for your support. I ask for your help. Our kids and their families are counting on you. I promise you that in funding our budget and investing in our children, you will find the county's resources very well spent. Thank you.
David Lappick, followed by Deborah Frazier.
Good evening. My name is David Lappick. I live in the Battlefield District. First, I just want to say I appreciate all the decisions you men have to make up there. I found this on the floor. It's titled, "I'm So Tired." I'm tired of hearing about teacher salaries. Just because a 13-year teacher here in Spotsylvania County makes a little bit around $46,000, I mean, it's not quite the average of $70,000, but hey, teachers should be grateful for that. I'm tired of hearing about poverty and how it affects our students in our schools. Just because students are coming to school every day, less in their book bags, less in their hearts, less in their minds, less in their bellies. I'm tired of hearing about what teachers do for their students. Taking money out of their own pocket, providing snacks, notebooks, clothes, books, shoes, because they love them. I'm tired of hearing about how late teachers stay at school and how many hours a week they put in. Why? Because they want to see their students succeed, because they love them, and because they are our future. I'm tired of hearing about how hard it is to teach in a classroom of 25, 26, 27 diverse learners, students with special needs, mental, social disorders every day. Don't teachers have an extra set of hands, like a paraeducator or a teacher's aide to help them? And what about the technology that we need to meet and combat the needs of our students today? Computers and iPads, they don't grow on trees, do they? And I'm sick and tired of hearing about SOLs and the pressure that our students and our teachers have to go through every year. It's not like there's, a government's going to come in and take over any failing school or anything like that. But what I'm really sick and tired of is the arguments from people who haven't been in a school or classroom in decades, and understanding the gravity of the situation. I'm tired of politics getting in the way of what is right for our students and our schools. It's not this group of people against this group. It's not conservatives versus liberals. Hey, I am a fiscal and a social conservative guy. Do I want to see taxes raised? Not necessarily, but something has to be done to bridge the gap, that financial gap between our county and our schools. And before anyone dismisses the fact that our schools do not have to be fully funded, I invite anyone to come into my classroom, meet my students, see the struggles that we both share every day. And yes, we do have victories, but those victories come at a cost. The cost is the lack of resources and funding for my students. My name is Mr. Lappick, and I work at Harrison Road Elementary as a 4th grade teacher. My room is 412. Doors always open. Come on in. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Deborah Frazier, followed by Carl Engelbretson.
Good evening. My name is Deborah Frazier. I'm the principal at Harrison Road Elementary. I live on Palladium Way in the Salem district. Yesterday, Virginia lost a long and sincere advocate of public school education, Senator Miller. Senator Miller from Newport News was an advocate for our children. When I met with him last summer, he had much concern for our students our ESOL students as well as our students with disabilities. He was so ready to introduce a bill into the General Assembly this year to support our ESOL and special ed students with SOL testing. We seek that same advocacy for our students here in Spotsylvania from our elected officials. There's so much negativity surrounding our school division budget. Why is it so difficult to find money to invest in our most precious asset? The negative political cartoon ads that are now circulating through social media depicts our community as discriminatory, hateful, divisive. We're so much better. We're so much more. And today I want to honor our teachers. And teachers, this is for you. Only a teacher. I am a teacher. What do I do and say of being absorbed by the young minds who echoes those images across the ages? My lessons will be immortal, affecting people yet unborn, people I will never know or see. The future of the world is in my classroom today, a future with the potential of good and bad. The pliable minds of tomorrow's leaders are molded in either artistically or grossly by what I do. Several future presidents are learning from me today. So are the great writers of the next decades. And so are the so-called ordinary people who make the decisions in our democracy. I will never forget these same people could be the thieves and murderers of the future. Only a teacher. Thank God I have the calling to the greatest profession of all. I must be vigilant every day, lest I lose one fragile opportunity to improve tomorrow. By Ivan Fitzwater. Thank you for your time.
Carl Engelbretson. followed by Elizabeth Churter.
Good evening. I'm Carl Ingebretson from the Battlefield District. I'm also currently treasurer of the Spotsylvania Education Foundation and served a term on the Economic Development Authority. I do not necessarily agree with everything the Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan, says or does. However, I do agree with his comment that incivility is making it increasingly difficult for America to resolve its problems through a peaceful political process. We should not accept ugliness as the norm. Thoughtful people can disagree on courses of action, but it's important to have discourse on the issues that impact our community. One of those issues is education funding in this year's county budget. The budget proposal introduction states that the budget strikes a balance that minimizes and fairly administers the tax burden while keeping community commitments, meeting community needs, and maximizing the realization of key community desires. Although the education allocation in this year's budget is over 50%, not one word mentions education commitments, needs, or desires. I believe that it's important for the community to understand where the disconnects in educational requirements are focused between the school board and the Board of Supervisors, especially since the gap between the requested budget and the allocated resources is so large. As a member of the Economic Development Authority, I had the opportunity to listen to local business leaders discuss issues that impact their ability to conduct business and attract qualified employees in Spotsylvania. Yes, low taxes was on the list, but not very high on the list. A great public school system was always near the top. A community that embraces a well-funded public school system will also attract businesses to the community and the required workforce. I joined the Spotsylvania Education Foundation because I believe that education is the great equalizer in our society and the key ingredient in attaining one's life goals. The foundation provides support to school staff by funding innovative programs that enhance the quality of education in our schools. It also supports continuing education by providing teachers and staff grants for professional development. Personally, I would like the foundation's current mission made redundant, because the community and local government would support classroom innovation and professional development for teachers. But it appears once again the foundation must rely on the generosity of our community to meet these worthy educational needs. I do not envy the difficult task that lies ahead of you, but I do hope that in the coming weeks that you will take the time to come to a consensus on educational commitments, needs, and desires with the school board so the funding gap can be closed. I began by stating I do not agree with everything House Speaker Ryan says or does. I close by saying I do not agree with everything Malcolm X said or did, but I do agree with this statement. Education is our passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to the people who prepare for it today.
Elizabeth Churter, followed by Greg Fields. Elizabeth Churter, Greg Fields, Elizabeth Churter, could be.
Hello, my name's Elizabeth Thurber, and I live in the Cortland District. And I'm here to ask you not to raise my taxes or the taxes of anyone else. Your budget materials make it clear that many of the county residents can't afford an increase. The school board's the largest employer in the county, and then the county is, and after that, the other large employers are retailers, restaurants, car dealerships, and healthcare facilities. And these provide modest jobs, modestly paid jobs, like LPNs, cleaning staff, cooks, mechanics, detailers. According to your own budget materials, many residents only hold a high school diploma with some college. That level of education is not consistent with high-paid jobs, but rather with the modest jobs that I just mentioned. They provide modest pay, and the benefits are not as generous as public service or public sector jobs. They work longer hours, paid fewer vacation days, fewer sick days, less job security, and they pay more for their health insurance. Retirement benefits are not as generous. How is it fair or equitable to ask these workers to pay more in taxes so government workers can get more compensation? I don't see where the compassion is for the other workers. 39% of the students in the schools are disadvantaged and 37% have subsidized lunches. That's from your own budget material. How is that leading anyone to believe that people can afford a higher tax rate? We just heard that Giant Food might be being sold, and there's 800 people whose jobs are now at risk. Are you going to add to their problems by now raising their taxes? My own family struggles with health insurance premium increases. Everybody's having their health insurance premiums increase. I pay $400 a month, and my employers told me that's going to increase 6 to 10% this year. So just to really, because I know people are saying it just doesn't matter, I've got a stack of medical bills I got to pay. There's some of them my health insurance carrier doesn't want to pay. They rejected, they won't pay. One of them's $600, another's $900. And my daughter has to have a medication. Okay, they won't pay for it, so I have to pay for it. $50 a month. So $78 may not be much to many people, but it means my daughter's medication for 1.5 months, and it helps me pay my medical bills. I don't think you people care about people like us. And if you did, you wouldn't raise our taxes. So don't raise them. 83 cents is an adequate budget. Thank you.
Greg Fields. Greg Fields. Al Durante. Followed by Carlos Moore.
My name is Al Durante. I reside on Devon Drive in Supervisor Ross's district. For the sake of full disclosure, I will also say that I am chair of the Spotsylvania County Democratic Committee. But I am not speaking tonight as chair of that committee, but as a former educator and a concerned citizen of Spotsylvania County. I am concerned about the economic health and future of Spotsylvania County. It appears that once again our Board of Supervisors refuses to fully fund the budget requested by the Spotsylvania County School Board. The Board of Supervisors has decided to advertise the tax rate at 86 cents, the same rate as last year. Another year in which they refuse to fully fund the requested budget. As if this weren't bad enough, there are factions in, as well as outside the county, who are calling for as much as a 3-cent decrease in the tax rate. Over the past few weeks, we have heard a lot of numbers tossed around regarding the budget, many of which were somewhat overstated or exaggerated. To try to bring some perspective to this debate, I would like to draw your attention to one number, 73. $73 is the amount a 1 cent fluctuation in the tax rate would affect the average taxpayer's yearly personal property tax. What we're talking about here is the cost of a family night out at a mid-level chain restaurant. I think part of the problem here stems from a lack of understanding of the school budgeting process. School budgets, particularly internal ones, are zero-sum mandated, which means that if you request more than you require and have a surplus at the end of the year, you will receive that much less in your budget the following year. There is no lottery prize for teachers in the budgeting process. Unlike the budgets the Board of Supervisors are used to dealing with, teachers don't have the luxury of putting unused finances away for a rainy day. For the price of a night out, some in our community are willing to not just shortchange our schools for a year, but to jeopardize the future financial health of the county. By not providing Spotsylvania schools with the financial resources they need to provide a first-grade education, we are not only punishing the students currently enrolled in our classrooms, but jeopardizing the economic development of the county for decades to come. If we do not provide our teachers with the resources they need to train our students with the basic STEM and critical thinking skills they will need to be productive citizens in the 21st century, we will be unable to provide a skilled workforce to attract business and economic growth to our county for years to come. Therefore, I urge you to put political ideology aside and provide our schools with the resources they need to educate our children and ensure the future strength of Spotsylvania County. Thank you.
Carlos Moore. And following Carlos Moore, there'll be a 10-minute recess.
Good evening. I am a teacher, Chancellor High School in the Chancellor District. I have 2 sons and a granddaughter, all products of the Spotsylvania school system, and I'm proud of it. What is a teacher worth? As a teacher, I am more than an instructor. I am there when a child is crying or is expressing the joys of a special accomplishment. I'm there to share in moments of sorrow and pain. I'm there to hear the thoughts of suicide, the reactions to molestation, rape, self-mutilation, alcoholism, domestic and gang violence, homelessness, and even murder, the kids in my class. I see and feel the anger and the frustration from these kids. They're my children. I am there in life and death. I was there when the kid got a phone call, a text in my classroom, and he broke down and the girl was trying to console the kid. And I said, come here, because the Spirit touched me. He said, my mother just passed in the middle of the day. I was there, a teacher. I answer the questions about violence, drug abuse, alcoholism, sexual orientation, bullies, poverty, and teen pregnancy. I got one that's ready to drop that load any day now. And she's 16. And as a former EMT, I can deliver her baby on the floor if I have to. I'm being honest. In the darkness of what many of our students live with and bring to school every day. And I guarantee some of you will be afraid or are afraid of many of the students that we deal with. Come walk in our shoes, like the brother from Harrison Road Elementary said, come walk in our shoes. I want you to be there. I'll stand and have your back if you do. Trust me. They bring it to school. I continue to teach. I am there when my students feel no one else is willing to listen or understand. I'm there not because I have to be there, but because I am needed and I want to be there. And I know when I went into this, and I have 2 degrees, and I worked hard so I could pay for them myself. I'm a taxpayer, and I know that as a teacher, I'm going to be underpaid. So I'm not saying, hey, raise the tax rate so astronomically, but give us enough so that we can service these children because they need it. I'm there for the needs of my students. As teachers, we continue to be unpaid. That's par for the course for you golfers. We don't ask for much, but much is expected. Pass the tax bill, 86. I ask you, with all that we deal with every day, are we fairly compensated? Have we received the raises? No, we really don't, but that's the way it works. I hope you guys can find it, either stand for something or we'll fall for anything, and these kids will be knocking on your door when you're not home. Thank you for your time, and have a nice evening.
All right, based on that, we're going to take a recess till 8:45. All right, why don't we all grab our seats and let's get started again? Hey, for the when the speakers come up, please adjust the microphone down to your level so you can be heard through the television. Thanks.
We're going to continue with number 39. We're about a third of the way through the public hearing, so as I call your name, if you can start to line up at either one of the microphones here, that'll help us facilitate a little faster. Number 39 is Katie Dietz, and number 40 is Mary Lou Nissim Sabat.
My name is Katie Dietz. I reside in the Livingston District. I hope that I would be here this evening thanking you for putting the needs of our community first. After attending the meeting at which you set this year's advertised tax rate, I was disappointed yet again. Again, our community's public works, public safety, and public schools are going to be put under scrutiny to make cuts because the tax rate was advertised so low. You have yet again handcuffed this community into making unnecessary cuts to necessary things. I feel the bigger picture is being ignored in order to appeal to community members' wants and not needs. There is no denying it. We need to pay taxes. No one wants to, but we need to. I am an average person in an average household with average means. My husband and I work multiple jobs to provide our family what we need. We run our household and pay our bills. We have many bills, as most households do, and our tax bill only makes up 4% of our yearly expenses. If you raise our taxes, will we feel it? Yes, but not as much as we will feel it if you keep trimming and cutting this community we have called home for our entire adult lives. I say raise my property taxes so all the egregious lapses in attention to this community's safety and future will be rectified. My father taught me something I will never forget. The most important investment you will ever make is going to be your home. The more valuable your house gets, the more valuable your investment becomes. Constantly make improvements. Take care of it, and it will take care of you. When I teach my daughter this, I will make sure she knows what my father forgot to point out. Your house is only a house. It's the community that makes it a home. I guess this was something he overlooked because the community we belonged to believed in its future and knew if it was to grow and prosper, it was going to come at a price. When I moved here to take my first job as a teacher, I saw this to be the place, the community that I could be a part of to cultivate a life, a home, and a family. George Washington, the father of our country, said it best, and I'm paraphrasing, the best way to form a virtuous and happy community is in the right education of its youth. Without this foundation, everything else will fail. The deplorable conditions you have caused in our community schools is what I'm most concerned about, not just because I am a teacher, but because I am a mother. Every year since I moved here, I see positions cut. 15 years later, I have a daughter who will be entering kindergarten. This community is going to invest the next 13 years of her life to overcrowded classrooms. Staffing has been decreased so dramatically that class sizes have increased exponentially. The school's budget now cannot add the 47 positions needed, but now have to cut positions, driving class sizes higher yet again. This year, you set the advertised tax rate such that we cannot fully fund any of the necessary improvements put on your desks. If you do not start putting the needs of the future of this community, our community, above everything, my family of 3, soon to be 4, law-abiding, tax-paying citizens will be forced to leave, and you will no longer have a prosperous community to govern.
Ma'am, I'm sorry, but your time is up. Thank you.
Mary Lou Nissim Sabat. We're going to continue to number 41, Ken Remmers, followed by number 42, Janelle Donahoe.
Good evening. My name is Ken Remmers. I'm with the Lake Anna Civic Association, and I'm here to talk to you about the water quality work that we're doing at Lake Anna. We've been doing it for about 16 years, with very happily with support from the Board of Supervisors in Spotsylvania County, as well as other counties in the area, and Department of Environmental Quality. Our work is all done by volunteers. We have no paid staff. We put in probably about over 1,000 hours a year in volunteers with their boats and with their gas and with their time to go out onto the lake at about at least 12 locations in Spotsylvania County to do water quality measurements, to assure the residents of the county and anybody that uses Lake Anna that the water quality is in good shape. We are the first line of defense for the users of the lake to show that if there is any problems, either with a bacteria level, a breakout of algae, or hydrilla, which you may have heard about now is starting to come back in the lake, that our workers are the ones out there looking for that and taking action to rectify it. I guess since about fiscal year 13, we've received a yearly grant from Spotsylvania, about $4,300. In fiscal 15 and 16, I asked for $7,000, but I still only get $4,300. I asked for $7,000 this year. They did bump it up to $4,750, and I appreciate that, but I would really like to see full funding. An example of the only thing that paid for with the grant money we get from Spotsylvania is the lab work that is done on the samples that we collect at the lake to get that analyzed at a state lab that we've had permission to use. And that cost us, just for the Spotsylvania sites for 1 year, it cost us over $6,000 just for the lab work that we have to pay for. And then we have incidental supplies and paper and training and chemicals for calibration of the electronic equipment. And we haven't been able to put any money in the past 5 years into capital improvement, which we need to do. Some of our equipment is getting rather old. So I would request that you consider upping our budget from the proposed $4,750 to the $7,000, and we would certainly appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Number 42, Janelle Donahue, followed by number 43, James Roberson.
Good evening. I just want to thank you. My name is Janelle Donahue. I'm president of Rappahannock United Way, and we serve Spotsylvania County as well as Planning District 16. And I want to thank you. I want to thank you for funding the nonprofits in our community so that we can help to improve lives right here in Spotsylvania County. I want to thank you for being our partner. We have partnered through funding and program and sponsorships since 1996. That's over 20 years of partnership with Spotsylvania County, and want to say thank you for that. This year, Rappahannock United Way has asked for the generous support of Spotsylvania County again, and we're asking for $3,000. Now, you might wonder what we could do with $3,000. Well, let me tell you. For $3,000 from Spotsylvania County government, you can help Rappahannock United Way leverage more than $85,000 in federal, state, and local grant funding. We use this $3,000 as a match for other fundings to make an impact right here in Spotsylvania County. For $3,000, what can we do? We can also leverage services which generate savings and revenue of more than $600,000 in Spotsylvania County alone. And I would say for $3,000, that's a huge return on investment. What do we do with your $3,000? When Spotsylvania local government funds this, we use this support for three things. One is volunteer services. We connect more than 650 Spotsylvania residents with volunteer opportunities projects at local nonprofit organizations and our local schools every year. We leverage the time and talents of Spotsylvania volunteers at an average value of $23. That's the independent sector rate. And this means more than $15,000 is invested in Spotsylvania County based on nonprofit organizations. Have you ever heard of 211? We invest in community resources. 211 is a number you can call that helps Spotsylvania residents and provides information about local nonprofit resources, so you have less burden on the county answering those calls. We also are able to provide Charity Tracker online client management systems tracking more than 11,000 Spotsylvania residents each year seeking services. Now, this is a measurable value in client management services, and it maximizes Spotsylvania County's resources, and I hope this will mean something to you. it reduces duplication of services in our county. And the third thing we do, which we're very proud, with the $3,000 from Spotsylvania County, is we create a financial stability initiative. We provide free tax preparation, and many of the individuals in Spotsylvania use this, and financial education and coaching services. And this year we've been able to provide over 400 Spotsylvania households services. That's a savings of more than $80,000 for Spotsylvania County residents in tax preparation fees. Tax credits and refunds totaling more than $490,000 for Spotsylvania households alone. This is a significant boost for the Spotsylvania economy, because where are they going to spend their tax refund? Hopefully in their hometown. Now, many of these Spotsylvania County residents are also recipients of Spotsylvania Department of Social Services. In addition, our staff at Rappahannock United Way, we've partnered with your Department of Social Services, and we provide training on Charity Tracker and reporting, and also financial coaching services, so that their staff can coach others in financial stability. And we do all of this free of charge, and with your help of your generous donation. The request for FY17 funds is $3,000. Now, this might not sound like a lot of money, but it's very significant. It's a significant source of funds for RUW because it can help us leverage state, federal, and regional grant funds, which require local matches. And if we don't get the local matches, then we won't be able to get the $85,000 in the grants we receive. So I ask you to support Rappahannock United Way in our $3,000 request. Thank you for your time.
Number 43, James Roberson, followed by number 44, Jeremiah Hansen.
Good evening. My name is James Robertson. I live in the Cortland district. I know a lot of facts and figures have been thrown around here tonight, and I'm not going to bore you with more of that research. I know we all know what the facts and figures are, but I do want to just give my support to our public safety, to our teachers. These people are putting their lives on the line. They're educating our children, and they're doing a great service to our community that we cannot afford to continue to underfund. They need to be fully funded to provide the services to our community so this community can be strong. We need to take the political games out of this organization, out of this community, and get back to what we're here for. We're here to look after each other, to look after our community, to make our community stronger, to make our community grow, so that it's a place where people want to move and want to live, so that we can then increase that tax base and have more money for those services that we all need. So tonight I'd like to ask your support and vote for the 86 cents. Thank you.
Number 44, Jeremiah Hansen, followed by number 45, Deborah Hicks.
Jeremiah Hansen, I live in the Berkeley district. I know you've seen me before talking about taxes and things like that. The 83-cent is the equalized rate. 86 cents is the current rate, which represents approximately 7.5% increase over the previous tax bill. Now, as everyone's pointed out, there's been facts, there's been figures, there's been this, there's been that bantered about. As an engineer, I believe in facts and figures and math. A lot of people think it's icky, but it's math. And a lot of what we do depends on that math. Budgets is essential you do the math correctly. It's also essential you take into account the future. Currently, the GDP of China is dropping by 2 to 3% per year. It was growing at 10% per year. China's collapsing. Europe is flatlined, which means GDP is reducing. What does this mean for Spotsylvania? Look around. Giant is probably going to close. Sports Authority is closing. Hancock Fabrics announced today that it is closing its store. Those are 3 major brands in as many weeks. We've all seen the stores close over the last several years. Many of us in Spotsylvania, regardless of where you work, have dealt with essentially no real increase in our income. It's been eaten up by inflation. It's been eaten up by healthcare costs, and we have to make do with less. Everyone has to deal with these frustrations. I don't disparage anybody, and I definitely don't want to reduce the safety of the community through reductions in police, fire, EMS. And I certainly don't want to discount the residents that take advantage of the school system, even though I homeschool. and I pay taxes for schools that my kids don't use directly. But at the same time, there are things that can be removed from the budget or dealt with wisely by paying down debt, not engaging in debt, making sure that what we do on a day-to-day basis looks out 2, 3, 4 years in advance. We can't assume that we're going to be growing at a whatever percentage rate, because that's a false assumption. You must always assume when you're governing that the rate will go down. Because even if we keep the 86-cent rate, if the economy contracts by even a small percentage, the revenues will go down because people cannot pay them. So that means the debt load on the county will go up next year in that scenario. It means that not only will we lose positions in teachers and police, but other county services will suffer if we don't watch our budget today. Thank you.
Number 45, Deborah Hicks, followed by number 46, Lyndon Hott.
Good evening. My name's Debbie Hicks. I'm a paraeducator at Chancellor Elementary. I'm also a mom to 4 children that have gone or are still going through our Spotsy schools. Most importantly tonight, I'm a taxpayer in this county. A recent article in the Freelance Star stated, and I quote, "The 3-cent tax reduction backed by the Tea Party would save the average homeowner $73. To prevent any issues from arising, I will disclose that my own taxes would only increase $30. But let's focus on the higher of the two, $73, which averages out to 20 cents a day. I feel very confident saying that every educator I know would give 20 cents a day if it meant getting what we need for our students to thrive. I'd pay 20 cents a day to have more ESL teachers so I can communicate with the 2 non-English speaking students I work with. Imagine trying to learn, follow directions, and socialize when you can't speak or comprehend English. ESL can only meet with them for 1 hour twice a week, and that's a disservice. I'd pay 20 cents a day to have more occupational therapists. I have students that struggle with basic self-care, much less everyday school tasks. Trying to stem the frustration of a child that has constant physical challenges by helping them for 30 minutes 3 times a week is a disservice. I'd pay 20 cents a day to have more speech teachers so my students with communication issues can feel heard rather than frustrated and defeated. Speech teachers that have to cover multiple schools lead to delays in identifying at-risk students, and that's a disservice. I'd pay 20 cents a day for more school social workers and psychologists to deal with students in crisis. Children often come to school with disadvantages they can't control because of their home environment. They need assistance to socially, emotionally, and even physically function in a school setting. Not being able to help them is a disservice. As a former police officer with specialized training in child abuse and domestic violence, I know firsthand that schools are on the front line. They will be the ones to encounter the child abuse, drug use, violence, and mental disorders before they're ever known to law enforcement. In my current role, I know full well that many days I'm the first smile a child sees and the only positive reinforcement they'll hear, and probably the only hug they'll get that day. Sometimes school is the only place our students eat, play, have friends, stay warm, are listened to, and feel safe. I urge you to fully fund our school budget. As a school system, as a county government, as Americans, we are only as successful as our weakest and most vulnerable are. Let's make this investments in our students' futures. Thank you.
Number 46, Lyndon Hott, followed by 47, Jean Bergeron.
Yes, my name is Lyndon Hott. I'm a resident of Spotsylvania County in the Cortland District, and I am a teacher of English Language Learners, ESL, at Salem Elementary School. First of all, I want to say that Salem is a great school. I love teaching there, but it is a school of great need in the area of English. Our numbers have been surging over the past few years, and we currently service over 100 English language learners. These are students from diverse backgrounds, including most who were born in the United States, and others who have come to us from abroad. We work with these kids every day to teach them the alphabet and vocabulary about the world all around them. To see these kids who come speaking no English on their first day and to hear them fluently conversing in English, not much more in a year later, makes my job extremely rewarding. As I said, though, Salem has need. We need another full-time ESL teacher. The second part-time ESL teacher that we have at Salem has to spend part of her week at another school that also needs an ESL teacher, of course. And she works with K-2 students here at Salem. And she wants to work with them more, and she can't. Under her instruction, I have seen such great progress and newfound confidence in her students. She brings with her years of experience teaching general education and a sensitivity to each child's needs. If you do not meet the advertised rate, this at-risk population, which they are at risk, will be put further at risk of dropping out of school. Many English language learners are reading well below grade level because they are not proficient in English. They're also taking SOLs, and they're not proficient in English. They're grasping at all these concepts while still learning the most basic English vocabulary. They need the support from ESL teachers, reading specialists, paraprofessionals, and scope teachers, and all kinds of specialists. And without that support, the linguistic and academic difficulties will become too overwhelming and difficult for them. They will become frustrated and resign themselves from feeling success when they can be successful. And I find that to be unacceptable. I'm asking you to keep the advertised rate at 86 cents, and I hope that we can demonstrate that our students' futures are important and that they will all have a valuable place in our society. As James Madison once said, the advancement and diffusion of knowledge is the only guardian of true liberty. Thank you.
Number 47, Jeannie Bergeron, followed by number 48, Nancy McNamara.
Lyndon, you should have come to this one. Good evening, gentlemen and community members. My name is Jean Bergeron. I live in Kingswood in the Battlefield District. I am speaking as an individual, but I am a teacher and president of the Spotsylvania Education Association. I'm not here to attack anyone, although we have been under attack. I'm not here to repeat many things mentioned tonight, including my fellow president of the Firefighters Association, teachers, principals, paraeducators, ESOL teachers, parents, and many other individuals who have spoken very eloquently. I am here to remind you that a majority of our educators, firefighters, and deputies are residents of our county and pay the same taxes as every other resident here, which means they support their own salaries. I am here to remind you that a quality community includes equality services, including schools and public safety. I am here to remind you that the cost of living is going up for everyone, whether you are an employer or an employee, as noted by the gas prices currently rising. I am here to remind you that an educated student, whether they go to college or to technical school or out into the workforce, is one less burden on our community. In fact, they will support the community through taxes. I am here to remind you that unless you are a multimillionaire, invested in the market, or have family money, you are on a fixed income. You live on a budget. But last, I am here to remind all that respect and courtesy go further to problem solving than mean-spirited vindictiveness. Bipartisanship works better than partisanship. Your hardworking county employees, including school, public safety, public works, and any others that I may have forgotten, thank you.
Number 48, Nancy McNamara, followed by number 49, Claude Dunn.
Good evening. My name is Nancy McNamara, Livingston District, 11506 General Wadsworth Drive. My great respect for the work of educators is based on 42 years of teaching, management, and social work. Motivation was item number one as I prepared budgets. What do we need in Spotsylvania? There is a difference between need and want. Need deals with data in areas such as safety, the economy, and transportation. Research has to be done. There are limits to needs. There are no limits to wants or desires. Budgets deal with needs. We have comprehensive planning for them. Wants have no limits, and often we don't get them. In political terms, someone once said, we run out of other people's money. Our county may not be able to provide the $12.5 million requested by the schools, although it has fully funded them previously. The Virginia State General Assembly is providing additional funds for education. I feel sure that professional standards will be met because of the motivation of our wonderful teachers and educators. There has to be an alternative to federal mandates because they don't work. There has to be a local solution. Many good ideas have come from the audience tonight. Spotsylvanians are increasingly poor in comparison with our neighboring counties. The federal government is not helping the middle class. There was no COLA increase in Social Security benefits this year. The cost of living did increase. There is no way to save. You, our supervisors, present a budget based on need, asking outstretched hands to think creatively. Please keep the tax increase on residents as low as possible. Thank you so much.
Number 49, Claude Dunn, followed by number 50, Shelton Richards.
Claude Dunn, 9743 East Ford Road, Chancellor District. I would like to see the taxes go down. I'm one of those folks that's on fixed income, and I've been retired for quite a while. Haven't seen any increases, but I've sure seen an increase in the outgo, and it gets more and more difficult to try to make ends meet. I understand the needs that are being brought forward tonight, but I think it's time we take a fresh look at things and find a new way to solve these problems. I know when I was a child here in Spotsylvania County and going to school, the amount of tax money going for education per student was far less than what it is today and for every other service that the county's into. So there are ways to lower the cost. I know the teachers have a terrible job today, but when I started school, in grade school, it wasn't in a one-room school. I was in a two-room schoolhouse. We had one room for grade school, one room for high school. You think these teachers are challenged? How would you like to teach kids from grade 1 to all the way through grade school? I'm sure that would be quite a challenge also. So it's not that the teachers haven't had problems before. They've been different. But we found ways to solve these problems with a lot less tax dollars. And I think we look back into our past and we can find some solutions. Thank you very much. Appreciate your efforts.
Number 50, Shelton Richards, followed by number 52, Ryan Mickey.
Good evening. I'm Shelton Richards, a resident of the Lees Hill District, Spotsylvania County. I'm an active duty Marine, been on active duty since 1988, but I'm here as a father, a single parent of 4 children. I transferred here to Virginia in 2007. My older children were victims of a failed California educational system. They were failing students. My 2 girls started 8th grade in Thornburg Middle School. They're well below the standards. But in 1 year, the passion, dedication of the teachers at Thornburg turned them from failing students into succeeding, being on track, and they entered Massaponax High School on track. My son, a failing 5th grader in California, started 6th grade, barely able to read. He was assigned to an extra reading program, and over a period of 2 years, the passion of one teacher alone turned him from failing to being an enthusiastic reader. In 8th grade, he was on track and continued on. That alone was a miracle provided by Thornburg Middle School staff, counselors, and teachers. But it doesn't stop there. Where are those kids at today? Today, those 2 girls graduated Massaponax in 2012, achieved scholarships, and are now juniors in ODU. The young kid who could barely read in 2014 graduated Massaponax High School, and today is a Lance Corporal in the United States Marine Corps. Because of the teachers over there, because of that, you now have one extra Marine defending this nation and protecting our freedom. Couldn't have done it without Spotsylvania's school system. So thank you for that. So let's talk about the teachers. Why are the teachers teaching? They're not doing it for the money. They're doing it because they're passionate about what they do. They're passionate, they teach these kids, and they do a great job. They teach kids to go to college. But you know what's sad? Is these teachers can't even afford to send their own kids to college. That is a travesty, unfortunately. Now, if we continue down this path, we're going to hit breaking point. And these well-qualified teachers, most of whom who have master's degrees, are no longer going to want to teach, not because they're greedy, but because they want to afford things like a single-family home, have a new car, and be able to put furniture in those homes. That's why they will transition. And who will we have coming in? People who can't find any other jobs. And we don't want that to happen. In closing, I will tell you, I've deployed in combat 3 times, and we succeeded every time. Why? Because I've had a well-educated Marine on my left and a well-educated Marine on my right. Well-educated Marines make smart Marines. Smart Marines will outsmart the enemy every time. If you believe we really need a well-educated Marine to defend this nation, you really value our freedom, as red-blooded, patriotic Americans, you will realize you have absolutely no choice than to fully fund the school system here in Spotsylvania County. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Number 52, Ryan Mickey, followed by number 53, Barbara Schell.
Good evening, Board. My name is Ryan Mickey. I come to speaking to you as a former resident of Spotsylvania County, a family member to 3 family folks who are in the public education system, and a loving girlfriend in the public education system, and as a Spotsylvania representative for Americans for Prosperity Foundation. Americans for Prosperity, what we do is we seek to recruit, educate, and mobilize Virginians and citizens across the United States behind the policies of a free and a prosperous society. We do this at the local, state, and federal level. Very recently, we reached out to Spotsylvanians all across, Spotsylvanians everywhere. But before I do get into that, I just want to kind of talk about my experience with the board and some of the tough decisions that you gentlemen will have to be facing here. Looking at the Spotsylvania budget, we've spoken to thousands of voters for this effort, which has been fueled on the backs of 30 concerned Spotsylvania residents. We've heard some of the most passionate responses of any issue that we have ever pulled on in the last 2 or 3 years. Additionally, when we were doing this, I thought about my brother. My brother teaches in the public education system, and I know how hard that he works, sometimes up until 10 p.m., thinking about his students and the work that he needs to be putting in. I'm here because I care for the people of Spotsy. I'm here to advocate on behalf of taxpayers here. About a month ago, I got a call from at least 30 different Spotsylvania residents about the upcoming tax issue. After reaching out to area groups and had lunch to hear folks' concerns, the message was clear. Spotsylvanians wanted an equalized tax rate of 83 cents. After this meeting, we went ahead and said, okay, that's this group of 30 people. What do the folks of Spotsylvania want? We went ahead and reached out to thousands of different Spotsylvanians. Their opinion was in line with them, is that an equalized tax rate would be most efficient. However, as we continue to look at what our budget should be for this upcoming year, we ask that the board consider an 83-cent tax that includes an increase of at least $2.9 million in school funding and cover the $1.5 million funds to firefighters, and consider tightening our belts, especially when it comes with the EDA and allows spending in more viable areas. On behalf of voters in Spotsy, we ask that we form a budget that illustrates how much that we do care for teachers and budget for a sensible 83-cent equalized rate. I feel that we do not need a stadium for future Mark McGuire's and Sammy Sosa's, but we do need to make sure that we have teachers adequately paid for and students that we can accommodate for. I ask that we look at our budget to tighten our belts and fund our schools for at least $2.9 million and advocate for an 83-cent equalized tax rate. Thank you for your time.
Number 53, Barbara Schell, followed by number 54, Craig Williams.
Good evening. My name is Barbara Schell. I live in the Cortland District. Many years ago, I was taking a night code class at James Monroe High School. outside a classroom, there was a plaque, and it said, "Knowledge free, bring your own bucket." It stayed with me. How many children have passed through that door, noticed that plaque, and made a difference in their life? I want to know, and I want people to know, where we get our bucket filled. This year, our property taxes have been increased already. That means our taxes has already gone up for this year. In 2015, we approved 3 bonds for the county. School bond was $141.7 million. That amounted to $400 a year more in taxes that I pay. Now the school board is asking an increase for the real estate tax again. If this happens, the homeowner will be hit 3 times to pay for schools and services because the developers are not paying proffers as the county guideline. As one writer noted, in the past 3 or 4 years, the county has excused $155 million in proffers. That is passed on to the homeowners. If reasonable proffers were accepted by the school board would not have to beg for funding. So you're asking the homeowners to bear the burden of the education when the developers are walking away with our tax dollars. So you need to choose how you're going to fill your bucket. Thank you.
Number 54, Craig Williams, followed by number 55, Sarah Dinkerson.
Hi, my name is Craig Williams, and I'm in the Chancellor District. I have 4 children who either are attending or have attended Spotsylvania County schools. I'm also a member of the Special Education Advisory Committee, and I'm asking you to fully fund the Spotsylvania County schools. 2 of my 4 children have or are still being assisted by Spotsylvania Special Education in the form of 504 plans and an IEP. Because of the staff and leadership of Spotsy Special Ed, my oldest, who had a 504 plan, is an honor student in college. My youngest daughter is beginning to excel and show her true potential, and my son, who has an IEP, has been on the honor roll for all of 7th and 8th grade. As we have all heard, there are more and more demands being placed on Spotsy Special Ed due to an increase of special needs students. In some ways, they are victims of their own success, in that the program here is so good, folks from surrounding counties are hearing about us and want to get their kids in the Spotsy system. This is a tribute to the professionals who work in the Spotsylvania Special Education Department, who provide the appropriate services to the children with disabilities. However, as the number of children being identified is increasing, they must be able to meet the demands with additional staff. The law determines caseload size for the staff, and they must meet all federal and state requirements. Spotsy County schools have to, by law, provide special education services to qualified students. They cannot choose to provide services to some and not to others because they are lacking funding. One of the items that the Special Education Department is asking to use the money for is to hire para-educators, or paras. The paras are wonderful as they assist those kids in class who struggle with learning due to their disabilities and need some extra support to understand what is being taught. It is very important that these kids are in the general education inclusion class. One of the big reasons is modeling. The kids see what is expected of them. They are encouraged and given the opportunity to excel. I remember my wife and I decided that we no longer wanted our son to remain in a special ed self-contained environment, but we wanted him to be in the general ed inclusion class with pushed-in services with the paras. Doing this provided our son with the least restrictive environment he was entitled to under the federal mandate of the IDEA. Without the paras, my son could not have made the transition. This is the son who some thought was mentally retarded because of his early developmental delays. This is the same son who is now on the honor roll and is looking forward to high school. The same kid who couldn't talk to others, who is now raising his hand to participate in class. He is a great kid who has the opportunity to be anything he wants to because of Tedra Richardson and her staff of special educators. The other great thing about these paras is that they assist the teacher and help all of the kids in the class regardless of whether they have an IEP or not. So all the kids benefit. That's a real bang for your buck. I know there are many kids like my son who can benefit from the support of paras. I just wonder, if you don't find the funding, how many of those kids may never realize their full potential. I respectfully urge you to approve their budget, for it will be the taxpayers' money well spent. Thank you.
Number 55, Sarah Dinkerson, followed by number 56, Wanda Stroll.
Good evening. My name is Sarah Jinkerson. I'm a resident of the subdivision of Crown Grant next to Courthouse Elementary School. I'm not a parent. I didn't graduate from Spotsylvania County Schools. I don't have any family members that went to Spotsylvania County Schools, and my husband doesn't have any family members that went to Spotsylvania County Schools. But I'm an advocate of public education, and I'm the president of the Spotsylvania Education Foundation. You heard briefly from Carl Ingebretson, but for those of you who are unfamiliar with our organization, we provide resources to the teachers and staff of Spotsylvania County for things that the budget doesn't allow. We're not part of Spotsylvania County Schools. We don't receive state or federal or county funding. We're funded by private individuals and private corporations who believe that we need to do more for our students and that our students deserve more. It's the children of Spotsylvania that will one day grow up and run this county. They're the future decision makers for our town and the future business leaders of our corporations. A fully funded budget allows our teachers and staff to fully invest in these students in order to make our community better. Our foundation attempts to bridge the funding gap by offering grants to teachers for training that the schools can't afford to provide. These are costs that should be covered by the county. We expect them to pay for the cost to train themselves when we don't expect this of anyone else. Why do we expect that of our teachers? Our organization provides small stipends to small numbers of teachers to offset these costs, but we don't have the funds to give it to all teachers or even make a dent in the overall training costs that the ones we are able to help have to face. A fully funded budget means our students have access to appropriate and, in this era, necessary technology. The Education Foundation provides grants to teachers to teach in new, innovative ways and to provide resources for new, engaging ways of learning. Perhaps the most requested item that we get is for new technology, but these are often the most expensive grants, and our foundation cannot meet the needs of all these proposals. Without these grants, the teachers either pull from their own pocket or the projects don't get done at all. Part of the county's job is to ensure that the teachers have these essential resources, which become more essential every day, and the students deserve this. A fully funded budget also helps us serve the underserved, but no less deserving portion of the school population that you've heard about, the large special education population that we face. Our foundation, again, tries to help these students, but we cannot meet all of these needs. A fully funded budget will provide more resources for these students. We cannot continue to postpone important school expenditures, and our county year after year continues to deny funding gaps are created. I would love to see our foundation redundant to make and allow you all to make the schools the quality schools that we know they can be, to create business, to create revenue, and help lessen the problems for the future.
Number 56, Wanda Stroll, followed by number 57, Jennifer Cease.
Good evening, all. My name is Wanda Stroh, and I am in the Livingston district. I am here as a parent of 4 children of my own and 2 stepchildren. I have 6 children in the Spotsylvania County district. With that said, 2 of my children have IEPs or 504s, and 15 years ago when I first moved to Virginia, specifically to Spotsylvania County, I moved here because I saw a wonderful school district, teachers that were amazing and willing to teach my kids and help my kids, and I saw the opportunities that my children were going to have when they were in this district. 15, 16 years later, all that I have seen is more cuts. And there's no activity buses. I have to pay $100 per kid every time that they want to do a sport. Now we got cut a little bit more, but yet another cut. I have seen how there isn't enough teachers to help our kids and to teach my children and my neighbors and everybody else, particularly when it comes to special education as well. Sometimes I sit there and I feel a little guilty that I have my child sitting there trying to get taught, and I see another kid that may be a little bit worse off than my own child, not being able to get that attention, that proper education, because there's too many children in the classroom. I want my children and everybody else's children to be able to have that special attention. No, I don't want my taxes to be raised, but you know what? That is a sacrifice that I will make. I tighten my belt, I buy one less cup of coffee at Starbucks, and I'm willing to pay more taxes so this project can be fully funded. So this budget can give us, my children, and everybody else's children, a better education, to bring into this county more qualified teachers, to bring people here that is going to go ahead and give that proper education and attention to my children and everybody else's children to have a good future. Another thing is that I understand that we all live in fixed incomes. I live in a fixed income. I'm a widow, $43,000 a year. I know how much I make. I know how much I'm supposed to pay. But I am willing to make that sacrifice, because if we are not giving to our children and towards our education, we are not going to have that return on investment that is those children coming back here and giving back to their community. And I truly hope that you guys actually do allocate the money correctly.
Ma'am, your time is up. I'm sorry.
Number 57, Jennifer Cease, followed by number 58, Nora Elbridge.
Hello, my name is Jennifer Cease. I am a parent of students at Lee Hill Elementary and Thornburg Middle School. I am also the PTO president for Lee Hill Elementary School. I am in my children's school daily, so I know how hard our staff members are working to support the needs of all students. I'm here tonight in support of Dr. Baker's 2017 proposed budget. I believe this budget focuses on students and is aligned with our division's goals outlined in our SCPS strategic plan. The plan focuses on teaching and learning, community engagement and partnerships, and organization, climate, and school safety. We have so much to be thankful for as a school division. Fully funding this budget will allow us to retain and recruit competitive staff in form of pay raises, provide support and resources to all students, K through 12, including students with special needs and English language learners. Lastly, it will help us maintain and update our school facilities to ensure clean and safe learning environments. Thank you for your time, and please fully fund Dr. Baker's budget proposal.
Number 58, Nora Eldridge, followed by number 59, Leroy Schlenkerfer.
I'm Nora Eldridge. I live in Spotsylvania County in Mr. Yakubowski's district. And I share Mr. Dunn's experience with going to a one-room schoolhouse in upstate New York in the 1950s. It was a totally different time. But 2/3 of the children who went to that school went on to college and went on to graduate. And I really believe in the saying that if you think education is expensive, try ignorance. That is much more expensive. Should we pay our teachers well? Absolutely. Should the kids have whatever they need in school? Absolutely. But it should not be on the back of the taxpayers, of the homeowners, and the people who rent. We all spend 6 torturous hours in here, well, at the Spotsylvania Board of Supervisors meeting room last year, listening to a public hearing on a private enterprise, a failed ballpark proposal for Bruce Quinn, which would have saddled Spotsylvania taxpayers with $47 million in debt. Instead of trying to attract people and businesses like that into our community, why don't you guys all get together and attract businesses that pay well, that have well-paying jobs, that are going to contribute to the tax base in a very, very meaningful way, and not have to come back to people and ask for more pennies on the dollar. I don't want my taxes to go up, but I do want well-educated students, because the country is only as good as the people who are in it, who are well-educated and can take us into the 21st and 22nd century and beyond. So should we pay the teachers? Yeah, we should, and we should fund the schools, but it cannot be on the backs of people with fixed incomes, people who are not making $70,000 a year, including benefits, which certainly do figure into your total salary. So I think that you guys need to go in a different direction and attract better businesses in here that pay better wages, that pay taxes, and contribute in a more meaningful way to our tax base.
Number 59, Leroy Schlenkifer, followed by number 60, Janet Bonillo.
My name is Janet Bonello, and I want to thank each one of you supervisors for your service to our country, our county, and especially to Supervisor Benton, who is our Livingston District Supervisor. My name is Janet Bonello. My husband and I have been residents in Spotsylvania County for over 25 years. We are retired and live on a fixed income. I want to express my opinion on the budget. I serve as treasurer of our homeowners association and must account to the membership for every bit of the money that I spend. And I always have the records available for them to look at, to go over in full detail at any time that they want. One of our members was about to lose her house due to her taxes. She couldn't afford to pay them. Not only did she not have any assistance at all, but the penalties kept adding up and the lawyer fees to finally get her taxes paid. And it was a sad thing, and that's what really broke my heart, to see a senior woman, an elderly woman without a husband, about to lose her property because of high taxes. I realize there are many expenses throughout the county, many requests that you have to accept or reject. I would encourage you to take advantage of the experience and expertise of the residents who have offered their services to tighten the spending instead of raising our taxes to meet the needs of the county. There are many residents who are living on retirement income after spending their life working and shouldn't have to worry about losing their properties, such as the woman I mentioned earlier. I know education is very important, as well as our sheriff, the fire and rescue, transportation departments, but I ask, is the money being spent where it should be? And I would like to see a line item budget for the schools, as well as all departments and agencies that are receiving money from the taxpayers. I think that would resolve a lot of the problems when people can see where the money is going. And then we can come up with solutions to maybe keep the prices lower. Spotsylvania County is a great place to live, and I hope to see it continue, but not at the expense of the taxpayers' money being wasted on projects that are out of the scope of government, but rather in accordance with our state constitution and our county's traditional form of government. I am a member of the Fredericksburg Patriots, and I agree with them and the Spotsylvania staff's recommendation from Thursday's work session to have the rate set as 83 cents with no tax increase. As far as heckling, we had one of our members speak here tonight, and I thought it was very rude of some people to heckle her. We all have the right to state our opinions, and I would hope that people would respect and honor each and every person here. As my shirt says, it says, "We the people." I'm not here to fight any teachers or anybody else, but to include all of us to come up with solutions for the problems for our counties. And I do thank you all again for giving me this opportunity.
Number 61 is Chris Wakefield, followed by number 62, Mo Petway.
I didn't bring a prepared speech or anything like that. I wasn't even sure I was going to speak today. I lived in Virginia pretty much my whole life. I bought a house in Spotsylvania on Catharpin, Livingston District, 10508 Catharpin, 16 years ago. I'm a truck driver by trade, and I used to make really, really good money until I hurt my back throwing shingles on a boom truck. Since then, about 16 years ago, I applied for a job, and I got a job in the Fredericksburg school system driving a bus. I drive a bus today, 16 years later, also in Fredericksburg. I don't make much money. I make $14,000 a year. My wife, Susan Wakefield, used to be the manager of the Piccadillys in front of the mall many years ago before they closed that down and built the Chili's. She was employed recently at the Ryans for many years, which they also shut down and closed right in front of Walmart in Central Park. Used to take me about 15 minutes to get to my house to downtown Fredericksburg. Now it takes about twice that. And every year I see the same pony show where they pack this place with Spotsylvania school people. Every time the budget comes up, they come in here whining, we need more, we need this, we need that. And then they do little contradictory things, like they had one guy that was I knew the guy, that did all of the behind-the-wheel training for the students in Spotsylvania. Well, we'll cut him, and that will anger the people of Spotsylvania to jump on the board to get them to raise the tax rate so we'll have more money. It doesn't matter how much money you give these people, they're going to come back next time, because they've done it every year I've been here, that the tax rate is up for consideration. And anybody up there that's considering an 83% tax rate, I really, really commend you. Anybody that's thinking about the 86, I beggeth you to reconsider. I'm supporting an entire family on $14,000 a year, and I'm doing it with no aid, no food stamps, no Obamacare. I qualify for Obamacare. I did not sign up for it. I don't even have to pay the penalty for not having insurance, even though I don't have insurance, because I just don't like handouts. And I don't think that it's right to constantly up my taxes. And if you look at the speakers here today, and I don't mean to offend anybody, I really don't, because I believe in education too. I work with the school system myself. But everybody just about that spoke today that was for raising the rates is with the school system. Everybody that wants it lower are the taxpayers. Remember, the last board had a sweeping removal of people based on them raising rates. And I beg y'all to consider that. That's pretty much all I got.
Number 62, Mo Petway, followed by number 63, Thomas Wolf.
Good evening, Mo Petway in the Battlefield District. I'm here today to support the fully funded request made by the school division. I've been in Spotsylvania for over 20 years, and I've noticed, as well as everyone else noticed, I guess, the development of the homes throughout the area. And I ask you to ask yourself, what's going to happen to the homes that you have already approved, the kids? If we don't approve the educational system for the kids that you have already approved, what's going to happen with them? I think it's important for us to understand that education is the way to success. And I ask you to consider the importance of providing the appropriate resources so that our kids can obtain a great education that Spotsylvania County historically has provided. And as you have already approved those homes that's over in Lees Hill and Massaponack and all over the place, have you thought about the infrastructure that has to support those? The fire, the sheriff, the library, and the school division. So I ask you to really consider, don't selling out the future of our kids and take away the opportunity for them to be successful in life by limiting their opportunity to get the great education that Spotsylvania County is known for. So again, I ask you to support the budget, fully fund the budget requested by the school division, and think about what you have already done. You have already approved thousands of homes in the community in Spotsylvania County. And in my area that I work in, we always consider, why is it so easy to cut the education budget? You know, that not only locally, nationally. And I remember when Perry first said he couldn't remember anything else, but he remembered to cut the education. Education is important. In my line, in my life, education is the only way to be successful is a great education. So please, fully fund the education request of Spotsylvania County School Division. Thank you.
Number 63, Thomas Wolf, followed by number 64, Kimberly Riddle.
Good evening. My name is Thomas Wolf. Live in the Lee Hills District, vote in the Lee Hills District. Out of transparency, I've lived here since June of 2013. The United States Navy brought me to Quantico, and I chose to live here in Spotsylvania County because when I drove through and when I came here, it looked like an amazingly beautiful place to live. And it is. But once I got settled, my son, who lives in Manassas, the 29th, it's higher rated school district in this area, wanted to come live with me, and I told him no because the school he was at was better than the ones here. I'm here to warn you. I've lived in 8 different counties throughout my entire lifetime, whether it was as a child or as a military service member. If you want to see your community collapse in the event of a natural or man-made disaster, don't vote for the increased funding for your fire and rescue. If you want to see crime rates increase, don't vote to further educate the children of the community. If you want to see drug dealers, you want to see prostitution, don't vote for it. You know what? It's great having mulch on the side of the road every 6 to 9 months in the Cosner's Corner area where I live, but you know what? This community, this county has messed up values. In case you weren't aware, there are over almost a dozen Asian massage parlors in Spotsylvania and Fredericksburg. They promote prostitution and human trafficking. There's no problem for giving them business license, but we're arguing over funding our children's education? What kind of place is this? It's almost embarrassing to be here. You need to consider where the funding is going. Yes, everybody's budget needs to be reviewed, and you know what? There's places that can be made cuts, but we cannot cut education. I've seen it. All right? Teachers don't work for the money. They work because they want to serve and educate the community. Firefighters and policemen don't work for the money. They work to serve. And I sure as heck didn't join the Navy for the money. I did it to serve. And I'm proud to have served, and I'm proud of the teachers here that work and all the challenges they face. I did 7 months in Afghanistan. I would rather go back there than face some of the children in the classrooms they have. Trust me. Talking with some of these educators, I have to give you guys a heads up. You know, it's good on you. But think about it. This community needs to concentrate on education. People are not going to move here if your education system is not well funded. I've seen it. I've experienced it. My children have seen it. They've experienced underfunded education systems. Take care of the children, you'll take care of your future, and you'll take care of this county, and you will see it grow. You live within a commuting distance of 3 military bases. People are going to come here if your school system is top quality. Right now, you're towards the bottom. You need to make a change. Thank you.
Number 64, Kimberly Riddle, followed by number 65, Kisha Britt.
My name is Kimberly Riddle, and I reside in the Berkeley District. In February, the pastor of my church gave an example during a sermon that I've not been able to forget. He held up his hand in a fist and talked about if your hand is closed, it is closed to God's blessing. However, if your hand is open, it allows God to continue to place blessings in your hand. God repeatedly instructs us in the Bible to give. For example, in Luke 6:38, Jesus says, "Give, and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, will be poured into your lap. For with the measure you use, it will be measured to you." Proverbs 11:25 states that a generous person will prosper. Proverbs 3:9 tells us to honor the Lord with your wealth. Luke 6:30 instructs us to give to everyone who asks. The policemen, firefighters, and educators of Spotsylvania County give to this community every day. They give of their time. They give of their talents. They give of their money when they purchase supplies for their students or pay for items such as AP tests or graduation caps and gowns. If you ask any one of these professionals, they will tell you that they don't perform their jobs for the money. They do their jobs because they have servants' hearts. I'm here tonight to ask you to give to these professions so that they can continue to give to this community. Give to the police and firefighters so that they can continue to respond to 911 calls for help, so that they can be properly trained, so that they can respond safely with good equipment and other resources. Give to the schools so that they can continue to operate safe, staffed, and innovative classrooms, so they can be more attentive to the individual needs of our most precious resources, our children. Give by setting a tax rate at 86 cents. Anything less will jeopardize the operation of schools, the Sheriff's Department, and the Fire and Rescue Departments. God tells us in Malachi 3:10 that you can test him in your giving. Test him and see if he will not throw open the floodgates of heaven and pour out so much blessing that there will not be room enough to store it. And remember, God loves a cheerful giver. Thank you.
Number 65, Kisha Britt, followed by number 66, Eric Martin. Kisha Britt, Eric Martin, followed by number 67, Anthony LaFaro.
Hi. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you this evening. I realize that your job is a hard one tonight, and I truly hope that you will listen to the whole spectrum of constituents and not just the vocal ones or the ones who scream the loudest or put out the best anonymous flyers. The one message I'd like to remind you of is the concept of return on investment. Few people talk about where government money comes from. Of course, the answer is taxes. But taxes are what you take. Investing is money that you can make. So say that you tax us all at 100% of our income. Is that enough? People would move away and there'd be no roads, but there'd still be roads to maintain and employees to pay. So the 100% tax rate from those who stayed, will that be enough? Well, of course not, right? How could it be? But there's an easy answer. Other people's money. We can collect all the money we need for all of our local bills if we tax tourists and businesses' net profits, not their gross incomes or expensive machines that they buy when trying to make a profit, because we want them to buy these expensive machines and get rich with them because we would share in the profits and benefit from their risk. I've only got 3 minutes, so I'll give you 3 quick steps. Step 1, imagine if we had a thriving tourism industry here, the real destination like Williamsburg, Orlando, or Las Vegas, or something like that, and we reinvested that income that the tourists pay for all their needs and wants into our roads and schools. We can easily make up a few $1 million each year in any needs-based funding from those requests. Tourists don't attend our schools, so they are a net revenue positive for our books. Are we investing all that we possibly can in tourism? Step 2, because of our now thriving tourism venues, imagine other businesses and employers would want to locate here too and reap those benefits as the tourism businesses do. So they come and they buy land, hire construction teams, and relocate their top-earning executives with their families, which of course need new custom-built homes to live in, and then they employ local residents as well. Local jobs generate a ton of money and cut down on our highway traffic. So are we investing all that we possibly can for local jobs? I don't know. That's a question. Step 3, before employers come, they check out the area. And believe me, they check out the school system when they do that. Ask your highly experienced economic development professionals in this county or any other county in the area, and they'll tell you that the land prices and moving traffic are certainly important, but that schools are right up there on the top of that list of the checklist sheet. These 3 items are not linear, however. They are symbiont. We can't start with tourism and then wait for businesses to come and then fund the schools then. We have to invest in all 3 of these areas, and the rest will take care of itself. So are we doing all we can to support a self-sustaining growth cycle for the upcoming decade? Please remember to invest in all these areas that give us a return on our money, such as aggressively going after new businesses, aggressively going after new employers, new tourism venues, and indeed funding a competitive needs-based school budget. These small investments today have large rewards that continue to pay dividends each year into every county budget beyond your own terms. Thank you very much.
Number 67, Anthony LaFaro, followed by number 68, Judy Lawrence.
My name is Anthony LaFaro. I live in the Chancellor District. I'm a 100% permanently and totally disabled veteran, which means I'm exempt from paying local taxes on my real estate. I pay it anyway, because I recognize that my experience in the private sector since I was in the reserves that earned me money It got me disability insurance, which although was taken away because there was one exclusion, and that's if it occurred on active duty orders. I'm still more fortunate than many other people, and I care about my community. Apparently a lot more than some of the people I'm looking at today. Even though I know you work very hard for very little for what you do, you seem to only respect a certain portion of our constituency. Not all of you, but some of you, and that bothers me. It bothers me when Americans for Prosperity, which is a political action committee that has put hundreds of millions of dollars, if not more, comes into our community, not to campaign for a candidate that they support, but to show up at a budget meeting. Really? You know, if you Google Americans for Prosperity, Google automatically fills in the things that follow that are most likely searches. It's jobs, because they're paid to do this. That's not grassroots advocacy at all. That's lobbying, and there is no place for it in our budget hearings, and there is no place in it in our county, period, and it should not influence you one bit. And it disturbs me a lot because when I Google that plus Fredericksburg, what do I get? A picture of our state delegate and our state senator at one of their events. And that delegate is an employee of this county, and our administration, appointed by you, non-competitively, and gets over $100,000 a year of our money. And you call yourselves conservatives? Americans for Prosperity supports that. Do they support the over $150 million of proffers to fund the infrastructure for the over 13,000 residences you've approved in the last 4.5 years? I added it up. Those developers, the amount of money they contributed to local and state candidates' campaigns that have some stake in Spotsylvania, literally for every $1,000 they've given, they've gotten $1 million in proffers for giving. That is ridiculous. That is not conservative leadership. And the result of it is we have people fighting with each other. We have people attacking our teachers and our community because we would have the proper funding if you guys were accountable for your decisions. And it's not all of you. Particularly Mr. Benton doesn't deserve this because he's recently elected. Probably the most concerned person in this community amongst the board members, in my opinion. But it's very obvious, too, in regards to schools, only a couple of you have ever had kids in Spotsylvania County schools, and that shows. And no matter what you say, the respect you actually have for our educational system is very obvious. It stood out in your response to what took place recently. I don't want to go into that whole thing, and I don't want to take up the time. But the lack of leadership and putting a stop to the attacks on educators when it's very clear some of you knew who was doing it is ridiculous. And by the way, Alfred King and Michael Hirsch, we didn't elect them.
Sir, I'm sorry, but your time is up.
Number 68, Judy Lawrence, followed by number 69, Robert Toole.
Hi, my name is Judy Lawrence, and despite my heavy New York accent, I have lived in Spotsylvania County for 36 years. My daughter went to school here, graduated from Chancellor High School, went to UVA, graduated with honors, and is a CPA and could buy and sell me 10 times over. I have no connection with the school system outside of having a daughter who went here. So I have nothing but love in my heart for them. And the man that spoke and said everybody's connected to the school system, no, we're not. We care about Spotsylvania County. And I came because I read how the teachers made $70,000 a year. So I looked it up. Do you know that Caroline County pays their teachers $47,144 to start, and we only pay ours $40,000? What is going on here? Why are there even questions about this? We can't cut teachers' salaries. We can't cut corners on education. Education is important. The other thing I want to talk about is how everybody's running around saying the tax rate in senior citizens. Anybody with any brains in this county knows that if you're over 65 and you are a senior citizen, you can get a terrific discount on your real estate taxes. I don't know if it's 50% or 75% off. I only know that my real estate taxes have dropped like mad since I turned 65. So this increase is not hurting the senior citizens. It really upsets me when people come up here and say things like that. The schools need to be funded. That's all I have to say.
Number 69, Robert Toole, followed by number 70, Crystal Ellsworth. Robert Toole, Crystal Ellsworth, followed by number 71, Peter Fotenhauer.
I apologize. I'm waiting for my phone to turn on so I can see my speech.
Good evening, fellow citizens and supervisors. I'm Peter Fotenhauer. My address is on file. I live and vote in the Battlefield District. Tonight, I think we've been afflicted with Chinese insanity. The definition of Chinese insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. The last 4 or 5 budget hearings I've attended, we've had the same discussion. The same people get up and say the same things. And this board, with the exception of those elected since 5 years ago, has done the same thing. You've made it very difficult for schools to get a sustained, continuous, reliable source of funding to meet their needs. You make them scrap and claw for every penny, and the teachers are sick and tired of it. I'm also tired of people who live behind gated communities in multi-McMansions telling me how the tax rate increase will hurt the families of children who exist on so little money that they qualify for free and reduced lunch. Teachers are well aware of the struggles of those students, and my problem with the way we are budgeting right now is that it is forcing the school system to make cuts that affect the most needy and difficult to educate children first. That is wrong. You take care of the weakest member of the flock first. Unfortunately, this year the debate has focused on what teachers make. So let's answer the question. You want to know what a teacher makes? I make kids work harder than they ever thought they could. I can make a C+ seem like a Congressional Medal of Honor and an A- a slap in the face. How dare you waste my time with less than your very best? We make kids sit through 30 minutes of sustained reading in absolute silence with the books open. No, you can't go to the bathroom. No, you may not sleep. No, you may not go ask a question. Why? You're bored and you just don't want to read. Sit back down. You want to know what I make? I make parents tremble in fear around dinner time when I call home. Hi, this is Mr. Fotenhauer. I hope I haven't called at a bad time. I just wanted to talk to you about something your son did today that you should know about. To the face of the biggest bully in school, he said, "Leave that kid alone. You cry too, don't you? It's okay." It was the noblest act of courage I've seen all year. We make parents see their children for who they are, and their children see themselves for who they can become. You want to know what I make? I make kids wonder. We make them question. I make them criticize. I make them open their eyes. I make them apologize and mean it. We make them write. We make them learn with delight. We make them clean up that mess and learn the value of dress to impress. I make them spell definitely beautiful, defiantly beautiful until they will repeat it over and over and never misspell it again. We make them show all their work in English, and we make them work faster, jump further, reach higher, and play nicer.
I'm sorry, sir, but your time has expired. I must make you sit down.
Crystal Ellsworth, followed by number 72, Dan Hinkson.
I am a proud first grade teacher at Courthouse Road Elementary and have been teaching for 4 years. But I am not just a teacher. I'm a part-time math specialist, teacher leader, teacher of technology, and very involved with my school and county. I make $43,000 a year, which is a teacher's actual salary. I don't get paid an additional stipend for all these roles I play. I simply do it because of our children, the children of our future. You see, these positions are cut and left to others. We do it because we see the benefits all of these additional programs have on our students. Not only am I a teacher, I work at a local bridal store, I'm in direct sales selling jewelry, and I'm a math tutor. I need 4 jobs to support myself living in an income-based apartment. I moved to Spotsylvania in 2011 from Flint, Michigan, a city where I grew up in poverty. My alma mater, Central Michigan University, placed me in Virginia because of the rapport Spotsylvania has. As a resident of Spotsylvania, I also participate in fundraising for Captain Pierce and Roger Harris and fully support our police force. As many of you are living your American dream, I ask that you consider the future of our students, and I ask that you let our students live the American dream as well. Thank you.
Number 72, Dan Hinkson, followed by number 74, Jerry Arrington.
My name's Dan Hinkson. I've lived in Spotsylvania. I've been a homeowner here since 2004. I've got 4 children who are either going through the school system now or have graduated as of last year. I love teachers. I love them. If I could, I'd be back there at the end of this brief, give every one of you a hug. You don't make anything like you should be, no doubt about it, okay? Tonight's about perspective for me. You know, one thing is the last time I came up and talked, it was at the meeting where we talked about the stadium. I hope that abortion never raises its ugly head again in the context of this discussion. Why would we ever come up with $40,000 or $40 million to pay for something stupid like that when we're struggling with these types of challenges in our community, right? And I think that we can all agree upon that. So that's perspective number 1. Perspective number 2, when I was in Afghanistan and we were taking our convoys of trucks from point A to point B to deliver goods to those people who were literally in the trenches, literally dealing with the enemy every day, and we were worried about IEDs. As we would travel through towns, one of our biggest threats was mobs of elementary school-aged children, barefoot, throwing fist-sized rocks at our trucks with enough force to shatter the bulletproof 3-inch glass. So my Navy shipmate over there who talking about, I'd rather be back in Afghanistan, I wouldn't, okay? So let's talk about reality. Let's talk about perspective, all right? Tonight's not about us versus you, teachers versus members of the community. Tonight should be about what are we going to do with the constrained resources that we're able to cull from the community in the form of taxpayer dollars. The 83% rate is reasonable. Teachers, over the last few years, you've gotten in 2012, $600 bonus, 1% pay raise. 2013, 5% pay raise. 2015, 1% increase, step increase, and a 1% in your COLA. 2016, 3% pay raise. I got a government job yesterday. And the government, over the last 5 years, has had 3 years with no pay raises and 2 years with 1% pay raise. Trump, who I do not support, is got a lot of support in this country because for 15 years, there's been no pay raises. I understand that you do what you do because of the love of doing it, the love that you have for my kids. Just like I went to Afghanistan, not for the pay, because for the love of core and country. 83% is reasonable. Gentlemen, it's your job to take care of those constrained resources and apply them to our community's needs and apply them to our county's needs, our children, in a responsible manner. This shouldn't be us versus you. This should be about, you know, what is reasonable to take from the community. And I got called from my accountant the other day. I have to give $5,000 more in federal taxes in 2 weeks. I got to come up with that. And my time's almost up. I drive a '98 Honda Civic. I'm not rich. I don't need to be taxed anymore. And teachers, I appreciate you. Thank you.
Number 74, Jerry Arrington, followed by number 75, Shelton Richards.
Good evening. My name is Jerry Arrington. I live in the Salem district. Out of transparency, I'm a native of Virginia. I've lived in Spotsylvania County since 2002, and I'm a former public school employee. I come here tonight on behalf of the voiceless, the lost, abused, abandoned, and surrendered animals of Spotsylvania County. I come tonight to impress upon the Board of Supervisors the need for a new, not a renovated, but a new animal shelter, a new adequate shelter. The state recently found many deficiencies with the existing shelter. Some of these deficiencies, but I've not listed them all by any means, are broken kennels, air vents that are broken that allow cold air in the wintertime and hot air in the summertime. Volunteers and shelter employees having to bring fans in to keep the animals cool or heaters to keep them warm. Inadequate space for animals to live, to be properly exercised. The current state of the shelter has made caring for the animals dangerous to them, to their health, and unsafe for the employees and volunteers that are charged in the animals' care. The current shelter design has not kept up with the influx of animals the shelter has experienced over the years and is not conducive to creating the least stressful environment for the lost, abandoned, abused, or surrendered animals. There is not adequate space to bathe animals or provide basic medical care. There is not space available for a potential adopter to meet and spend time with an animal to gauge their temperament and for the animal to get used to their potential forever family. Shelter staff work in cramped quarters. They cannot adequately care for animals, which includes medical care, socialization, and keep accurate records. The Sheriff's Department has done a phenomenal job, along with shelter staff and volunteers, to bring the animal shelter close to being a no-kill shelter. We don't want to see that change. We want it to be 100% no-kill. However, it is embarrassing to me as a taxpayer and an animal lover that this Board of Supervisors may once again not make a new shelter a priority. I, along with a majority of Spotsylvania County taxpayers, voted for the county to fund the project. The animals and staff of the shelter deserve far better than what the politicians are subjecting them to. The animals don't ask to be abused, abandoned, or surrendered. We need to do better by them, better than the abusers that the system frequently fails to prosecute. The shelter is a necessity, not an extravagance. I ask the Board of Supervisors to not go against the will of the people, fund a new animal shelter. I also ask you to take your time to go into the animal shelters, volunteer your time.
Ma'am, I'm sorry, but your time is up.
Number 75, Shelton Richards, followed by number 76, Todd Rump. Shelton Richards, Todd Rump, followed by number 77, Carol Ann Luter.
Good evening. I'm Todd Rump at 13103 Willow Point Drive in the Lees Hill District. I had a speech prepared, but after hearing a lot of people talk, I kind of decided to scrap it. I'm 31 years old. I have no children in the Spotsylvania school system. And I still come here, so it would be easy for me to stand here with a fortunate, good-paying job with benefits, to stand here and say, hey, let's keep taxes lower than 83 cents, because it's not really going to affect me any. But I stand here in support of at least an elevated of the 83 cents. I know in the last board meeting there was some newfounded money that to me should change the dynamics of potentially not making it 86 cents. But regardless, I know a lot of the people supporting the schools have talked about fully funding the schools, but that's actually not possible, because even with the 86 cents rate, it's still going to fall several $1 million short of what the school board asked for. So really it's just trying to bridge the gap, a compromise. So even an 86-cent tax rate would be a compromise to what the school board asked, because there's no possible way with the rate locked that they can get exactly what they wanted. People have named various taxes today. They've criticized all the board for stealing money, and I think it's misplaced. If they would like to go to Richmond or Washington, D.C. about wasteful spending, then I would gladly go with them. But when I see the directors of the different departments, when I see members of the school board that were also elected officials speaking and what they're doing, I don't see wasteful spending. there's waste in anything. I can look at my personal budget and point out waste. I mean, that's unavoidable. But I think there's as little waste as possible in this county for what the taxpayers are paying. And I'm an analyst by trade. I've deployed numerous times to Afghanistan and Iraq. And part of the joke I've always had is you come across times where you have information to support either side. And there's information. You give me a week, I could support an 86-cent tax rate. I could support the 83. Both have equal points. So there has to be some kind of compromise. If it's going to be also just significantly 86 cents, that's not a compromise. If it's 83, that's not a compromise. That's both the extremes. What kind of supported me to support the higher tax rate is the number of director, department, and school officials and lack of positions that have been cut over the recent years. And now times are doing better, then we should support and fill those jobs that need to be backfilled. And all I ask is, I think all you guys are doing as best job you can. I feel you're supporting the county and making the right decisions. All I'd ask is when you make your final decision to explain when that decision is made on why you made that decision and what led you to that, so that we can heal as a community, because either way, some side is going to be hurting afterwards. Thank you.
Number 77, Carol Ann Luter, followed by number 78, Liz Thurber.
Good evening. My name is Carol Ann Luter. I live at 9810 Poplar Forest Road, Lee Hill District. I am a mother. I am a teacher. I am a proud principal of Wilderness Elementary School because I work alongside dedicated people every single day. I am a part of the school division, and I'm very proud to be a part of the school division. I understand what it's like to live on a budget. I am the child of two teachers and coaches that dedicated their lives to children. I understand what it's like to put pennies and coins together to buy a loaf of bread or a gallon of milk. I dedicate my life each and every day. I told you that I live at 9810 Poplar Forest. Where I really live is 11600 Catharpin Road at Wilderness Elementary School. That is where I really live. I do not want to get into the banter or the negativeness. I have thought and prayed a lot over the last few days about what I would want to say, because I'm a believer in that if I have something to say, I'm not going to sit quietly. I do want to share my thoughts. I've come back recently to this serenity prayer because I cannot control this. But what I'd like to do is invite everybody, and that is the public here, to join me each and every day, either at Wilderness Elementary School or with any school within the division. We need your help, and we need to work together. We strive to produce children that are productive, respectful, and responsible, and we can do that together. We have that right to be. Part of the responsibility is knowing exactly what the budget of the schools encompasses. It is not primarily about what a teacher makes or to give that teacher a salary increase. It is primarily about the required elements it takes to educate our children. And that is right, they're our children. They're not just mine. They're not yours, they're ours. And together we can do this. We can stop saying us, them, we, you. We can work together. That is our responsibility of citizens of Spotsylvania County, and I would like that to continue. I would like our children to know we have their backs. Thank you.
Number 78, Liz Thurber, is the last citizen signed up to speak on the county resident list, and then it would be the non-resident list.
I think Liz has already spoken. Is anybody that did not sign up like to speak? Okay, seeing none, we'll go to the next list.
Number 1 on the non-resident list is Eldon James, followed by number 2, Kevin Kazoil. Teresa Bowers, Michael Hirsch, followed by Tom Benjamin.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. I'm Reverend Michael Hirsch, 200 McConkey Street, Fredericksburg, Virginia, 22401. I have previously been a home builder, landowner, taxpayer in Spotsylvania. My children were homeschooled. As chairman of the Fredericksburg, Virginia Patriots, I'm expressing our position on the budget and our objection to the anti-free speech resolution of March 8. George Washington said, "If freedom of speech is taken away, then dumb and silent we may be led like sheep to the slaughter." President Truman said, "Once a government is committed to the principle of silencing the voice of opposition, it only has one way to go, and that is down the path of increasingly repressive measures until it becomes a source of terror to all of its citizens and creates a country where everyone lives in fear." The resolution references comments made during, quote, "citizens' public presentation time" of the budget hearing of February 23rd, saying it, quote, "hereby rejects this type of verbal assault and personal attacks," end of quote. You are free to reject any statement you like, but you are not free to restrict the right of free speech during public presentation time. Citizens have the right to respond to public comments with opposing views. The ability of citizens to state their views before their elected officials is one of the chief cornerstones of free speech and accountable government. This resolution is a plainly unconstitutional violation of that principle. The Ninth Circuit Court has found, quote, "local governments have some leeway to determine the ground rules for public comment periods, so long as those rules are reasonable and viewpoint neutral," end of quote. This resolution is about as far from viewpoint neutral as one can imagine. A case involving a virtually identical resolution concluded that it violated the First Amendment right of free speech here in Virginia. The Virginia Beach School Board adopted a resolution against, quote, "attacks or accusations regarding the honesty, character, integrity, or other like personal attributes of any identified individual or group," end of quote. The court had no difficulty in finding that resolution an unconstitutional attempt to censor viewpoints the board disliked. The purpose of a citizen's public presentation time is to allow their interaction with their elected representatives. It is an unreasonable restriction of this purpose to declare that certain forms of speech will be rejected or not allowed. The 10th Circuit Court has held that, quote, "the Constitution protects the ability of all persons to speak their mind about public commentary, even if what they have to say is unkind," end of quote. And our Supreme Court has also stated our Constitution reflects, quote, and I want you to hear this, "a profound national commitment to the principle that debate on public issues should be uninhibited, robust, wide open, and that it may well include vehement, caustic, and sometimes unpleasantly sharp attacks." That's our Supreme Court. If a speaker engages in disorderly conduct, that person can be prosecuted. But the Constitution does not allow this board to prohibit free speech or even attempt by bully resolutions to limit or restrict verbal attacks even on its own members. The Fredericksburg, Virginia Patriots remind this board that it is the duty of our elected representatives to listen to their constituents, not to silence them. If the board regrets the manner in which it conducted its public commentary period, then the resolution falls short, as the apology should be made to the entire public. Last year, during heated commentary on the failed baseball stadium bailout, we witnessed a fine example, a commendable example of maintaining proper order and decorum. Mr. Barnes immediately corrected a speaker who had turned to address the audience with the polite instructions to address their comments to the dais. The leader of the defeated Stadium 3 crafted this resolution against an individual who exercised her right of free speech, and it makes me wonder if this was just a petty personal political payback. We stand ready to bring claim in response to any restriction of free speech. We call on this board to honor the Constitution. It is my prayer that God will help you to do so through the grace of Christ. The Fredericksburg, Virginia Patriots ask you to hold the line against tax increases, reduce the advertised rate to the equalized rate of 83 cents, which I want to say in last week's work session, these ladies did a commendable, excellent job. Thank you very much and have a good day. And we did not distribute any flyers.
Tom Benjamin. followed by Sue Sargent.
Hello, my name is Tom Benjamin. I am the Director of Development for the Northern Virginia 4-H Education Center in Front Royal, Virginia. I want to take this opportunity to thank all of you for providing me to publicly acknowledge the support that the residents of Spotsylvania County provide to the center. The center was established in 1976, 40 years ago, with a transfer of 229 acres from the U.S. Army to Virginia Tech to establish a 4-H camp for the people of the Commonwealth. Today, we are a year-round facility providing services to over 20,000 individuals. Over the past 10 years, through the efforts and support of your local 4-H extension agents, over 1,000 youth from your county have participated in summer 4-H camps. In addition, residents from your county have participated in conferences, retreats, special camps, and access to the Appalachian Trail. The financial support we receive from counties and other jurisdictions across the state enables us to offer these services at a reasonable rate and to provide scholarships to individuals that are economically challenged. The true measure of the value of the funds we are provided is the impact that the funds have in supporting the core community values that many of us share. Some of you may be aware of the National 4-H Club Pledge. I pledge my head to clearer thinking, my heart to greater loyalty, my hands to larger service, and my health to better living for my club, my community, and my world. This is a personal commitment that encourages individuals to be good citizens and active contributing members to the community. The real impact that the center has had and continues to have is easier to share through the words of one of our campers. This is a quote that was given to us by this camper. This is a young person who is just one of thousands of examples of the impact your support has had on individual lives and the community you serve. I am 16 years old and have been going to 4-H camp every year starting when I was 9 years old, making this upcoming summer my 9th year. 4-H has always been the highlight of my summer, and not only have I made lifelong friends, but I have learned many lessons from working with people of all ages and the experiences cultivated here at 4-H. The ropes course is a place where you have to be responsible and trusting in everyone who is around you. The most rewarding experience I've had on the ropes course so far came 2 summers ago. A girl who signed up for the course did not think she would be scared of the high ropes, but became terrified at the thought of being so far up in the air when she saw them. Everyone in the class was very encouraging and kept attempting to persuade her, but she wouldn't budge. I couldn't stand to see her frightened of something that had given me so much joy over the years and helped me learn so much about myself and really emerge into a leader. Over the final few days of camp, I made a deal with her. If I would attempt the vine walk blindfolded and make it across, then she would try the ropes of her choice and see if she could also get across. I did it. The following day, the girl attempted the eagle walk, and to her delight, found that the ropes were not so scary at all and made it across. The most rewarding part for me was to see the girl who seemed so shy at first and not very social get such joy out of overcoming her challenges. And when she got down, get the complete support of the entire class and finally seem at ease with her peers. The program at 4-H has been life-changing to me and the amazing number of other people who have participated over the years. The ropes course aspect is also, in my opinion, one of the most impacting elements of the program by bringing people together and helping them emerge as leaders, not only here at 4-H, but in society as a whole. This young lady is just one example of the impact that the collective support from the community has had on future generations through the Northern Virginia 4-H Education Center. Thank you for helping Northern Virginia 4-H Center to make a positive difference in our community. And I would suggest maybe we all should get together on the challenge course and learn to work as a team. Thank you very much.
Sue Sargent, followed by Robin Monroe.
Good evening. My name is Sue Sargent, and I'm a member of the Spotsylvania Education Association. I was a resident of Spotsylvania County for 29 years. Both my daughters graduated from Massaponax High School. I am one of 2 Spotsy County Schools speech pathologists who specialize in working full-time with the preschoolers ages 2 to 5 years old who have speech and language impairments. This includes young children with autism, Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, and those who stutter. This is the age group in which we make the biggest difference with teaching because of early childhood intervention. I'm in support of full funding of the school budget. We need the positions in the budget. You know we were cited for non-compliance in meeting students' needs by the timeline for psychological evaluations and support services. This is wrong to put us on the map as one of those localities. Why mess up our reputation? You have the money to do this. We're out of the recession. There's already a process in place for those residents who need tax relief. Fill out the form and submit it. It's just a matter of your political will. It's not about putting advertising on school ball fields. It's about accepting the state match of local funds. It's about getting sufficient proffers from developers who want to build more subdivisions. After I spoke at a previous meeting, a man told me that the building industry execs think it's laughable what they're getting away with in Spotsy right now. But can any of us tonight even persuade you to support the budget? Or are you using the party ideology playbook? It concerns us that the shadow group, Americans for Prosperity, made phone calls to Spotsy Tea Party Republican voters this past weekend to get them out to this meeting. AFP is known for pulling strings to make sure you all line up with what they want to see happen in this county. So now we have this outsider group coming into Spotsy County to make sure you men line up right. Just part of an AFP MO template to destroy local government. We do not have full confidence in the integrity of what you're doing. If we had to give you a grade right now, it would be a D for divisive and dysfunctional, especially with knowing your party is demonizing teachers. And Mr. Armageddon is out there talking about declaring war to the school board. It is harmful to the best interest of this community. I would like to thank you for passing that March 8th resolution. That action contributes to promoting an atmosphere of respect in which audience and speakers understand free expression of ideas and will not feel intimidated when they come to the mic to speak. I believe local elections matter. Please don't trash Spotsylvania County.
Robin Monroe. Followed by Shirley Johnson.
Good evening to all of you, and especially for giving your time to serve our community. No easy task, I'm sure. I say our community because my name is Robin Monroe, and I'm principal at Berkeley Elementary School. I stand before you tonight as someone who's worked in education for 28 years, with this year being my 20th year in Spotsylvania County. Tonight, I speak on behalf of employees at Berkeley Elementary School. Since arriving at Berkeley Elementary, I've called our school the jewel of Spotsylvania County. I say that based on the daily dedication that I see and is shown by my staff. You may be surprised to know that our custodian every day, Mr. Clark, buys special stickers and stamps to give kindergarten students as they throw away their garbage at lunch. To also know that our paraeducators can be found at almost every evening event we have for our students and our community. Our school counselor over spring break, although he wasn't working, he came out and did the entire landscaping on the front of our school. My leadership team, which is comprised of approximately 15 members, spend a huge amount of time during the summer. They help me to create our school improvement plan. They help plan for kindergarten orientation. They give up so much of their time over the summer months. Also, as I come to think of employees, I say if you take any employee out of a position for a week or two, you see the value of that employee. So all employees within a school system are very important. Whether we're looking at teachers who spend their time planning on weekends, nights, grading papers, or any employee, they're all so important. I can say that we are the jewel of Spotsylvania County, but I can also say that over the years, my 20 years in Spotsylvania County, I've worked in 4 different schools. And what I've seen at Berkeley is just a sampling of what I've seen in Spotsylvania County since 1996. That level of dedication to students, you'll find it in any school that you go in this county. I certainly have. I will say without hesitation that serving children is truly a privilege. We love what we do. And other than doctors and possibly clergy, religious leaders who lead people in discovering truth and save lives, I don't think there's any other profession that has more of an impact, a positive impact on people in general. We humbly come before you, and I say we, my school, my fellow educators, come before you tonight not asking for a significant pay raise or new technology. We ask for what is fair for our students, because funds that we will be getting will be doing what many people think is the impossible job, and that is educating them, which we feel is a privilege. We have a budget that was created not just in a small window of time. It was started, I'm sure, back in the fall. I don't serve on the committee, but I know that Dr. Baker takes input from so many different people, not only parents, staff, experts, and I will say he has worked over the years, I think, very diligently to try to form a very positive working relationship between both boards. Educators in school deserve all that we can give them, all educators, not just teachers, because teachers value all those others.
Ma'am, I'm sorry, but your time has expired.
Shirley Johnson. Shirley Johnson. There are no other citizens signed up to speak on the non-resident list.
Is there anybody that did not sign up who would like to speak? All right, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. So we will open the public hearing on the tax rate.
Excellent.
Is there anyone signed up to speak?
No, sir.
Would anybody like to speak that did not sign up? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. We will open the public hearing on the CIP. Did anybody sign up to speak?
No, sir.
Would anybody like to speak that did not sign up? We'll close the public hearing. That's all we have. All right, well, with that, we have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Beat me to it.